So our boy's getting roasted alive at the stake right now, and he's having this whole life flashing before his eyes moment, thinking, where the hell did everything go sideways? Like, the dude had made it big. He became a knight, made a name for himself, and life was on track. But now he's medium rare and wondering what decision screwed him over. Then it hits him, oh yeah. It was that moment when the queen called him over and was like, "Hey Klein, if you manage to kill the Black Dragon Queen, I'll marry you. And look, I know how this ends, but if some thick queen told me that, yeah, I'm charging into battle too." Our boy saw those royal backshots in his future and said, "Bet, I'm in." Fast forward a few years, and Klein's been on an absolute tear. He fought battles left and right and wiped out the entire demon army. And now the only thing standing between him and those royal backshots is this evil witch. So he hypes himself up, storms the battlefield, and actually pulls it off, taking down the Dragon Queen. Everyone's losing their minds, celebrating like crazy, and praising Klein for saving the kingdom and whatnot. Cut to the victory banquet, and everyone's singing Klein's praises, going on about how he did the impossible. But Klein's got tunnel vision. He ignores all these NPCs and walks straight to the queen. She praises him too and offers him a drink. Klein takes it and reminds her, "Yo, remember that promise you made? How if I win you'd share a drink with me?" Because man worked his ass off for this moment. The queen smiles all sweet, saying she remembers and tells him to drink up, promising all his wishes will come true. Klein doesn't hesitate and chugs the whole thing in one go. The next second, he's losing control of his body and hits the ground hard, with absolutely no clue what just happened. Meanwhile, this backstabbing bitch is standing over him with that same smile. Then this one-eyed bastard starts screaming that Klein's been inciting rebellion, that he's trying to turn the knights against the crown, and orders everyone to arrest him. The knights are confused as hell, saying there's no way Klein would do that. The man just saved the whole kingdom. Why would he rebel? But nah, these scumbags had this whole thing planned out from the start. They grab Klein's homies first, and then announce that anyone who tries to protect our boy will be labeled a traitor too. Back to the present, and Klein's literally half-cooked at the stake. He's screaming, asking the crowd if they actually believe he's a traitor. And you know what these ungrateful bastards do? They start throwing stones and vegetables. As he's dying, he goes into the classic Manhwa revenge monologue, thinking if he gets a second chance, he'll burn it all down and destroy everyone. The usual revenge stuff. A few hours later, the fires died down, and Klein's just ash now. Then this woman in blue walks up, and damn, the artist really went off here. She starts talking about how everything's an illusion, how people waste their lives chasing dreams, but none of that matters anymore. She conjures this massive spell and says the age of magic devices is coming. A few seconds later, our boy's back, and his first words are, "I'm going to destroy the whole world." And honestly, I'm with him on this one. After all, the man was denied the royal backshots. Cut to 3 years later, and surprisingly, Klein still hasn't achieved his world destruction goals. Man's just out here getting bored, asking if there's anything fun to do. Just then, he hears some commotion in the market, so he decides to check it out, jumping down from whatever roof he was chilling on, saying it's entertainment time. Down in the market, these scumbag knights are going around forcefully taking weapons from regular people, saying it's the queen's orders. In the background, there's this little pink-haired girl watching everything go down when one of these bastards approaches her, demanding she hand over the broken sword she's carrying. The girl starts crying, explaining how the sword is worthless since it's broken and begging him to let her keep it because it's her mom's keepsake. But instead of showing any human decency, this asshole points his sword at her throat, saying, "Hand it over or die." And this bastard actually swings at a literal child, but before he can connect, his sword just drops from his hand. The knight immediately spins around, asking who did that, and there's our boy Klein sitting on a rooftop looking all smug and mocking this dude. The whole crowd starts cheering, seeing him, shouting, "Shiro came to save us." The captain points at Klein, threatening him, saying he'll regret defying their orders, but our discount Robin Hood doesn't care. The knights charge at him, and in the next frame they're all on the ground. Klein didn't even break a sweat. The captain decides to try his luck personally, but our boy grabs his hand mid-swing and delivers a devastating kick right to the family jewels. Then he tells all the knights to leave everything behind or say goodbye to their future sons and daughters because he'll make sure they never have them if they try anything. Nobody wanted their nuts rearranged, so they took the offer and ran away, though they made sure to tell Klein he'll regret this. The pink-haired girl comes up to him, calling him Shiro and thanking him for saving her. Klein gets up and tells all the villagers they're free to take whatever the knights left behind. So Klein's back on another rooftop, complaining about how bored he is. Again, that's when this priestess chick shows up, saying, "How can our boy say that when he had become a chivalrous thief and earned the respect of many people? How can he feel bored after that?" Shiro barely glances at her. He says he doesn't care about respect or any of that. What matters is if things are fun. Then the girl mischievously says how our boy used to be the strongest knight in the kingdom and asks him why he is hanging out with commoners. Then she stabs her dagger into the roof. Shiro feels like she's mocking him, The dark-haired woman denies it, but she's got this look in her eyes. She reminds him that he was the king of knights once, got executed for treason, lost everything. Shiro stares up at the massive moon hanging overhead and just curses his entire existence. She tries the whole "hey, at least you're alive, you can still turn things around" speech. Klein's like, "Okay, cool, but why the hell did you even save me?" But Messias gives him the most non-answer, asking him if she really needs a reason. She's just enjoying watching him struggle. Shiro's like, "Great, my savior's a sadist," but accepts her help anyway because what choice does he have? Then she hugs him from behind and promises she'll be there for him no matter what happens. Meanwhile, over at Castle Lin, where Count Whatever lives, some subordinates getting absolutely chewed out. He's reporting their failure, making excuses about how the enemy was too strong. The angry lord's not having it, calls him useless to his face. The subordinate's on his knees, begging for forgiveness, while this woman next to the lord is just grinning like she's watching her favorite comedy show. The overlord turns on James specifically, going off about how he keeps failing. James is desperate now, begging for one last chance, swears he'll catch Shiro this time. The lord's not interested. Eventually, he gets so frustrated, he just summons 2 warriors over. They approach, bow their heads, and get ready for orders. The mission's simple: capture Shiro at any cost. James, he gets demoted from captain to regular soldier. He agrees to it because, hey, life's more valuable than a paycheck. At least, he's not dead. Back in the city, we get this bird's eye view shot. From up high, Shiro's watching the crowds, seeing how the common people are getting treated like garbage. He knows trouble's coming. Messias is next to him, reading some line from a prophecy about blade shards reuniting. But our boy turns to him and says that he doesn't care. Then Shiro and the girl notice something's off. He's annoyed the guards are back already. Messias mentions their behavior has changed. Shiro doesn't wait to figure out why, he just rushes in. Meanwhile, soldiers are going door to door, demanding people hand over their valuables. This old man's terrified, begging for mercy, and calling out for Shiro to help him. One of the guards steps on the poor guy's face. Meanwhile, James is thinking to himself, why the hell was he doing this filthy thing? When he gets a flying kick right on the face, and man, this dude flies back a good distance. Then this other knight looked at our boy and said how he was waiting for him. Our boy doesn't know what was going on here, but he accepts their challenge anyways, promising to be their worst nightmare. Hearing that, the red-haired knight loses it and goes all out with his best move. Shiro stops the whole thing with just one finger, literally one finger, so now the knight's freaking out that his attack did nothing. Then suddenly hands shoot up from the ground and grab Shiro's legs. Red Hair yells at everyone to grab him now at his orders. All the soldiers rush in, but Shiro doesn't even look worried. He lifts up that same finger and just taps the ground with that finger, and boom, everyone gets wrecked by a massive blast. He didn't just copy the underground hand attack, he made it way stronger. The armored knight gets launched back so hard he almost crashes through a whole building. Shiro walks over and grabs the guy by his hair, yanking him up. He slams the guard's head into the wall and asks this bastard why they were looting this place again and again, but the guy won't talk, saying he's loyal to his boss. So Shiro takes off his mask, revealing his demon side. He shows the guard his nasty burn scars and tells him that he is way more dangerous than anyone he knows and says that if he doesn't talk, he'll wipe out his whole family, his kids too. The guy folds immediately, scared out of his mind. He tells Shiro everything, his boss's name, and that their boss sent them to get some magic tool, but they don't know what that is, so our boy just pulls out a dagger, asking if they were looking for it. Red Hair nods, saying how that was exactly what they were looking for. Shiro lets him go with one last warning. The guy and his crew bounce as fast as they can. Shiro's just standing there alone, thinking about how this city's peace isn't going to last. More trouble's coming for sure. Cut to the Count's mansion, where people are gossiping about this righteous thief running around the city. Everyone's shook by how bold this guy is, and there are even stories about him publicly embarrassing the Count. In the middle of the crowd, there's this mysterious person in a cloak lurking around. They pull back their hood, revealing the blonde hair and this sly-ass smile. It's a girl, and she's whispering some promise about Shiro, her green eyes looking intense as hell. Meanwhile, our boy is walking through the square in his red cloak, standing out like crazy. He's thinking about how the Count's his next target when someone yells his name. He turns around, and this girl comes running at him full speed, looking way too happy. Before he can react, she tackles him to the ground in a hug. Shiro's pissed and asks her who she is and what the hell she's doing. The girl introduces herself as Carol and says she wants to help him out. Shiro coldly shuts her down, telling her he doesn't need help. Carol's like, wait, are you seriously rejecting me? I came all this way, and I'm cute. Our boy looks at her all confused about what this creature was even saying, but then tells her to go away. But Carol attacks again, not physically. She just screams righteous thievery in the middle of the busy street. Everyone around them freezes and stares. Shiro's like, okay, we need to talk somewhere private, right now. Once they're alone, Carol's going off about how she wants in on his next job. Shiro's annoyed, asking what she even wants. The girl suggests using this stink potion she's got. Shiro thinks she's insane and reminds her that what he's planning could get them seriously punished. Carol starts explaining how nasty this potion is, and honestly, Shiro's getting interested. He agrees to let her come along, promising to teach her how to have some real fun. Carol wasn't expecting that she screams with joy, and now they're planning this whole raid together. Back at the manor, guards are reporting more bad news to the Count. The Count's losing his mind, literally tearing at his hair in rage. He's terrified of this Lord Han guy and blaming all his guards for screwing everything up. The guards are just standing there horrified, listening to him rage. Just then, a knight came rushing in with more bad news, telling him how some girl just broke into the house and is wrecking shit. This pisses off this bastard even more, and he asks who has the audacity to attack his place. Then Shiro drops down from above. The armored warrior asks who's in front of him. Shiro looks at the Count and gives him the most disrespectful greeting ever. The Count grabs his sword, saying how he didn't expect to run into this thief again. Our boy rushes at him and grabs the Count by the throat before he can react. This bastard couldn't believe what happened to him when Shiro pinned him against the wall. The Count tries to smile and suggests they just talk this out like civilized people, then waves to his soldiers for help. The guards start moving in, but Shiro just looks at them like they're trash and calls for Carol. The girl kicks the doors open and walks into the hall. Everyone's shocked seeing this young lady. Carol throws a vial at the guards, and something disgusting explodes everywhere. The guards back up in horror because the smell is absolutely unbearable. One knight can't handle it and straight up throws up. Meanwhile, Carol's having the time of her life. She's going around beating the defeated enemies, kicking them while they're down. Now it's interrogation time. Shiro starts asking the Count about the magic tool, and the Count's trying to figure out if this boy is serious about this or just messing around. Then Shiro stabs a blade into the Count's arm to prove he's not playing games. Shiro gives him an ultimatum. Either tell everything you know, or I'll break every bone in your body one by one. The Count is screaming and agrees to spill everything. But just as things are going smoothly, Shiro senses something, and this unknown guy throws something at him. Shiro tries to block it, but can't. The projectile flies between his fingers, and it jabs right into the Count's body. The fat man screams, writhing in pain, and our boy is thinking about how he screwed up. He couldn't stop the attack. He tries to chase after whoever did it, but realizes the target got away. He's pissed. Carol looks over at the Count. The dead man's on the floor, and she's almost celebrating. Shiro looks down at him coldly. The Count's face is twisted in pure horror. The needle's poison killed him fast, but it looked painful as hell. Somewhere else, the guy who threw the needle is reporting his success. But nah, this guy isn't happy and says how this thing wouldn't have happened if not for their incompetence, and then asks for the magic tools. The assassin tells him how one shard is already in Shiro's hands. There's this old man grinning like a villain saying how if he kills our boy and collects all the fragments, he could unleash some divine power. He has the chance to become the strongest in the world. Hell, he can even become the god of this world and put an end to everything. Meanwhile, at the Count's mansion, townspeople are flooding in, talking about how the Count's dead. So naturally, they start looting the place. People are grabbing treasure left and right, fighting over stuff, and yelling mine. Our boy and Mazias are watching all this chaos from the roof. Mazias asks Shiro if he's satisfied with what he's seeing, if watching the villain fall makes him feel better. Meanwhile, Carol's gushing over her Oni-chan's strength, saying how this raid was fun. The three of them are basically celebrating on the rooftop. Shiro then gives her a hat pat and promises there's more fun coming. Messias warns our boy how now that they have touched the Count, the people behind him won't stay quiet. Shiro's like, I don't fear my enemies, they're nothing to me. Carol's hyped for whatever battle's coming next. Cut to the town square, and the newspaper boy is screaming on top of his lungs, selling the special edition, and the townspeople are praising Shiro like crazy. Shiro's actually surprised by how famous he's gotten. Then he reads this invitation from some guy named Kane. Lord Kane wants them to come to dinner. Shiro knows it's probably a trap, but agrees anyway. They'll deal with whatever comes their way. He's already anticipating the fun and promises even more entertainment is coming. Cut to somewhere else, a heavy door swings open with this loud clatter, and you can see torchlight below. Some guy's looking at a girl trapped in a flask, calling her Aisha. Apparently, she's been stuck in some dream state for over 4 years. Two men are discussing whether Shiro will actually show up to Kane's invitation. Kane's confident, saying Shiro's pride will make him come even though he knows it's a trap. This warrior's just waiting for the next story to unfold. The guard says how our boy is quite strong, so they can't defeat him with the conventional methods. This white-haired giant just brushes it off like it's nothing. Kane summons the cursed lion in the next moment. Crazy flames burst out everywhere. This beast appears, wrapped in chains and shrouded in magic. The guy watching is horrified, seeing how powerful this lion is. The villain made some experimental weapon out of shards. The fire lion roars, showing off its strength. Cien is thinking about how if he collects all the shards, he'll be able to destroy the world and then gets lost in fantasies, excited about his dream coming true. But then he places a hand on the glass, looks at Aisha, and says how it's unfortunate that she isn't here. Back to Shiro, who just casually rolls up to the castle. People are whispering and staring at him. Lord Kane greets him all fancy, remembering every heroic deed our boys accomplished. Shiro plays it cool, acting honored by the attention. Kane gives this whole speech about everyone's contributions and building a better future together. The guests are eating it up and accepting the party invitation. The servants announce the food's ready, and there are literally mountains of roast pork waiting in the hall. The host tells everyone to go ham and eat whatever they want, but Shiro, nah, he refuses the food, which confuses his companion. The girl's like, more for me then, and happily offers to eat his share. Kane then grins and looks at our boy, saying how he is getting the vibe that our boy doesn't trust him. But our boy then casually mentions how it's hard to trust him after knowing what he did to Aizen, still grinning like an idiot. Kane asks our boy what the real purpose is for coming here, so our boy casually puts both of his legs on the table, pulls out the dagger, and asks these bastards if this is what they've been looking for. Suddenly, a needle shoots through the air aimed at our boy, but Carol deflects it, protecting her brother like the badass she is. Meanwhile, our boy is busy mocking this bastard for his pathetic attempt, so Cian decides to drop the act and orders his men to kill Shiro. The knights attack, but Shiro doesn't even move from his seat, calling these lackeys useless tools. Then Shiro throws this powerful punch that absolutely shatters the dining table, sending these bastards flying, but Kane actually manages to block it, though, and our boy just smirks, getting ready for the real fight. He removes his mask and casts an OP skill, and Kane's getting desperate, asking his counselor for help. The magician summons the sleeping beast from earlier. Even our boy is surprised to see this thing. Just then, Kane went on his villain monologue, saying how he has gotten much more powerful than the last time our boy saw him, all thanks to his kitty, and tells him to give up since there's no way he's winning this, and orders the lion to attack. But nah, our boy is enjoying this, saying how if he really thinks that, then he is naive. Then the lion comes crashing in again, sending our boy flying with those claws and roasting him with a full blast of fire. And immediately, these bastards start cheering like the fight's already over, shouting about how Cian's victory is basically guaranteed now. Even this bastard Cian starts running his mouth, telling our boy not to feel bad, but before he can finish flexing, Shiro casually strolls out of the debris, though his armor had gotten busted and his skin was showing. The old man watching all this turns pale. He is confused, wondering how our boy is still on his feet, and the power radiating off our boy has him shaking. He decided to not give our boy any time to recover and order the lion to finish him, and the lion started growling louder, all hyped up, so our boy decided to give this big kitty a little lesson with the fist of love, of course, sending the lion flying straight at the wall. Kane realized that he was screwed and decided to go all in. He cast this spell, and a bunch of flying skulls surrounded our boy, and Kane was all like how our boy is now done for these ghosts will tire him out and eventually kill him. But our boy, he's just standing there, grinning like this is nothing. Then he flicked his wrist, and boom, all of these ghosts were gone. Kane's eyes go wide at what he's seeing right before Shiro blitzes forward in a split second and cracks the man's jaw with a punch, so strong the resulting blast sends him flying. Kane's completely confused, demanding to know how he got powers like that. Shiro just smiles, saying how those ghosts had no effect on him because he too is a ghost and the one who crawled back from hell, so naturally those bottom-level mobs couldn't do anything against him. Then Shiro rushes back in for the finish. Cian orders the lion to save him, and the kitty jumps in the way, trying to play bodyguard. It puts up a decent fight, but eventually goes down again. Shiro looks up, ready to end Cian, except the coward is already gone. Man hears footsteps behind him, turns around, and there's Cian sprinting away like he's going for Olympic gold in the 100-meter dash. Our boy tries to chase, but the lion gets back up again. It unleashes some swirling magic tornado move, but Shiro's had enough of this Pokemon battle. He disrupts the entire spell with one punch, the blast echoing through the whole hall, then finishes the lion off with another brutal hit. This time, the cat's down for good. Meanwhile, Qian's already outside the castle, running through the streets. People recognize him. Wait, isn't that Lord Qian? Watching this supposed powerful mage sprint past them in full panic mode. In pure desperation, he summons these skull-faced chains that latch onto random innocent civilians. They're screaming, crying, and struggling to break free, and when Shiro finally catches up, he sees the whole mess people trapped and begging him to save them. Qian's standing there with his psychotic smile, taunting Shiro with the classic villain hostage play. What are you going to do? Save them or catch me? He thinks he's bought himself time, using people as human shields. But here's the thing, our boys beat Ian to hell and back. These amateur tactics don't faze him anymore. Shiro completely ignores the hostages and charges straight at Qian anyway. You can see the exact moment Qian's brain short-circuits. He cannot believe Shiro just did that. Their swords clash, and the sheer force behind Shiro's strike shatters Qian's blade. Our boy doesn't let up attack after attack, hitting this man so hard he goes flying straight through a solid wall. Shiro's face is pure rage as he growls, "Game over." But then that needle-throwing assassin pops up above him again. Shiro turns around, looking completely bored by these weak-ass attempts to poison him, and with just one casual swipe, he sends all the poison needles right back at the sender. Just then, that assassin starts laughing, and this dark purple magic wraps around Shiro in chains, and for the first time, our boy actually looks concerned, struggling to break free from this spell. Of course, Xian uses this golden opportunity to, yep, you guessed it, run away again. This man's entire combat strategy is just cardio. He books it to the dungeon and rushes straight to his beloved Aisha, who's still trapped in that green cocoon and stands there drowning in doubt about what to do next. Then a magic circle lights up beneath his feet, and violet flames explode everywhere. This cracks the glass of Aisha's container, and Aisha starts falling. Cain catches her midair, saying how he'll make her dream come true, and as soon as he touches her, this mofo goes Super Saiyan. Meanwhile, our boy's still struggling against those chains, but not for long because in the next frame he rips through them like they're made of tissue paper. Shiro's standing there confused, trying to figure out where that mysterious attacker disappeared to, since all that's left are these busted chains. Then suddenly, the entire city starts shaking. Buildings are collapsing left and right, people are screaming, and the pink-haired girl's covering her head as a whole building starts tipping toward her. Shiro casually swats the falling debris away with his hand. Our boy surveys the destruction and immediately knows this is Cain's doing. Cut to Cain's squad of guards rushing into the dungeon because they're sensing some seriously weird energy down there. They're remembering all those stories about Cain's mysterious powers and panicking that Shiro might have hurt their precious lord. At the entrance, that same sketchy hooded figure is waiting for them. The guards are chatting nervously about Shiro's insane strength and the creepy vibes coming from the basement when the hooded guy lets something slip. He mentions how Lord Cain decided to retreat after recognizing Shiro's power, and before leaving, he wanted to give them the reward he had promised them. The guards eat this up immediately, cheering about how generous their leader is, praising Cain like he's some saint. These idiots march into the closed room expecting a reward. As they enter the basement, the entire squad gets absolutely demolished by these nasty-looking tentacles. Dark energy wraps around the knights, and they're screaming in agony as this horrible monster emerges from the shadows, draining their life forces. The creature launches them backward with one hit, then smashes straight through the dungeon ceiling and bursts onto the city streets. The monster lets out this bone-chilling howl that probably woke up everyone in a 5-mile radius. That mysterious hooded advisor is watching everything unfold and flies out after the creature, muttering about how people are all fools with complete contempt. The monster starts attacking random villagers, and people are scattering like cockroaches. This thing's grabbing victims left and right, literally sucking the life out of them. Then Shiro shows up. Without missing a beat, he delivers one powerful strike that shreds through the tentacles, and the villagers who were being held drop to the ground, stunned but alive. Our boy asks Messias what the hell this thing is, so she explains that it's a defective magical warrior that absorbs power to make up for what it's lacking. Shiro initially thinks it's just Cain's pet monster, but Messias shakes her head and tells him that it's not his pet. It's Cain himself saying how that idiot resonated with the violet flame shard and turned himself into this abomination. Our boy is all confused, thinking to himself, has this dude really fallen that low? Just then, the monster attacks. Shiro gets ready for round whatever we're on now. But then the monster does something weird. It just turns around and walks away in the opposite direction. Both Shiro and Messias are standing there like, what? Then Messias realizes that Cain must be looking for the remaining crystals so that he can restore his powers. Shiro's like, oh hell no, and goes after it. He unleashes this devastating blow that catches up to the monster, slicing off a bunch of its tentacles. Our boy closes the distance and swings for another strike, but the monster opens its mouth and fires this massive energy beam, sending our boy flying. But our boy doesn't quit. He needs to take down Cain no matter what. The monster starts rushing back toward the castle with Shiro hot on its trail. Meanwhile, back at the castle, that giant pink lion is still knocked out cold, and Carol is having the time of her life when she notices this flash of pink energy. Then wham, the monster appears and absolutely yeets the girl off the lion's body. She takes the hit straight on and goes flying into the castle wall. Cain rushes up to the lion's corpse and slams his tentacles into its body. Apparently, he needs 2 more lives to break free from whatever's controlling him. The creature grabs the lion's heart. Just then, the other personality in his head, who I'm guessing is Aisha, starts telling him to get the hell out of the body, but Cain just hijacks the control again, saying that if she really thinks that he'll give up after being so close to his goal. So while they are having this internal spat, our boy catches up. He attacks again, his sword slicing clean through the monster's limbs. Our knight's got this icy death stare, basically wishing this thing into the afterlife. The monster acknowledges Shiro's strength but scoffs anyway, saying how it had fun playing with him, but game time is up. Then the monster absorbs the power from the lion's heart, and now it's wrapped in purple energy. Shiro's just standing there stunned, watching this transformation happen. A massive explosion rocks the entire area. Debris is flying everywhere meanwhile. Something where someone is laughing with pure malicious glee, absolutely loving the chaos they're causing. Then, from the dust, the monster emerges. This thing got a makeover, and now it's a freaking fire dragon. He takes a good look at himself and goes, "The power of once again ruling this world is really the best." So naturally, this thing immediately starts demolishing everything in sight, and our boy's just frozen there like, what in the actual hell is going on? While this flaming bastard's turning the entire area into a barbecue, it's announcing its grand return. Shiro's brain catches up pretty quick. Yeah, that's definitely not Kane anymore, so he asks the obvious question, "Who the hell are you?" The fire golem turns toward him and goes, "Doesn't matter who I am because you're about to be dead anyway," then starts this whole monologue about our boy's imminent doom. Then he summons some demonic technique, and a massive explosion tears through the ground. When the smoke clears, a 9-headed dragon crawls out of the flames, and I'm talking full Hydra mode here. This thing wakes up, opens all its gigantic jaws at once, and prepares to turn Shiro into a human Happy Meal. Our boy jumps high into the air, thinking he'll get a better angle, but the dragon's like, nah, and immediately surrounds him. All 9 heads coming at him from every direction. So Shiro pulls out one of his abilities. Night Power Demon King Slash charges his sword with magic and swings with everything he's got. This slash tears through the air, heading straight for the dragon, but the beast counters with its own attack. When they collide, the shockwave sends our boy flying backward. Our boy barely sticks the landing when the fire golem rushes him and delivers a hit so hard it literally buries Shiro into the ground. But here's the thing, the attack barely scratched him. The fire monster comes back for round 2, and this time Shiro summons a protective barrier to reflect whatever's coming. The golem doesn't care though. It keeps advancing and deals another devastating blow that straight up cracks our boy's shield and sends him flying sideways. Shiro slams into a wall, and you can see the anger written all over his face. Then suddenly, Mesias shows up out of nowhere, all worried, asking if our boy's okay. Shiro lets out this heavy sigh and admits he underestimated this flaming bastard's power. Meanwhile, the fire monster's over there trash-talking these wretched humans like the arrogant prick it is. The sorceress isn't having any of it. She tells Shiro she's got a plan and she's about to execute it. The golem notices her magic symbol and realizes something's up. Then we cut to Kane's consciousness, and damn, this man is trapped. He's tangled up in red strings like a puppet, completely imprisoned inside his own mind. Turns out the price for all that power was becoming a forgotten puppet, and he's screaming, refusing to accept this fate. Kane's struggling to remember why he even went down this path in the first place. Then a memory hits him. There's this girl dreaming about marrying a strong husband, living that fairy tale life. He vowed to protect her from all dangers, playing the devoted knight, saving her from bandits and all that hero stuff. Fast forward, and he actually pulled it off, became a hero standing at the top of the empire next to his beloved. But then, in one flash of pure rage, he remembers the betrayal. He remembers the promise he made to himself to reach the top of the empire at any cost, no matter who he had to step on. Kane vowed to crush everyone in his path, and suddenly those shackles holding him back started loosening. Kane's reflection appears in the golem's eyes. He's fighting back, trying to reclaim control of his own damn body. A loyal knight has to reclaim his name, right? The fire monster fights back hard, but our boy's screaming at this thing to get the hell out of his body. Shiro and Mesias are just standing there watching this internal battle. Kane manages to push the creature back, but this monster's persistent as hell and not giving up that easily. The fire golem's ready to unleash its wrath on literally anyone who gets in its way. Our boy's engulfed in flames, desperately resisting, while Mesias wants to help end this nightmare. She suggests Shiro use the power of that artifact, that special blade they had. He's willing to risk everything to win, so he reaches for the dagger's hilt and feels nothing. The guy realizes with absolute horror the artifact is gone. The blade got lost somewhere in all that rubble from the destroyed buildings during the chaos. Just his luck, right? Meanwhile, Kane's still trying to exorcise this fire monster from his body, and it's obvious the man's having the worst time dealing with it. The fire monster's completely overpowering Kane's will, crushing him like a bug. Then comes that ominous voice that sends chills down everyone's spine. The game is over. It's time to get down to the Ariel business. So flames are absolutely destroying our boy right now, and he is thinking that this might actually be the end. Then an explosion tears through the whole city. The monsters completely hijacked Kane's body again. He shut down that little uprising real quick. Meanwhile, Shiro's running around like a maniac trying to find his missing blade, while this demonic voice is dropping ominous threats left and right. Apparently, some ancient evil has been hitting the snooze button for 1,000 years and is about to wake up cranky, so our boy needs to handle this situation yesterday, before everything goes completely sideways. Shiro throws up his magic shield again, blocking the fire golem's attack. This flaming bastard starts talking trash about how pathetic humans are. Our boy picks himself up and hits him with a correction, telling him how he's not human anymore. He was human 3 years ago, before he got backstabbed and turned into a bonfire. The fire monster's actually taken aback by that one. It clearly wasn't expecting that origin story. Since crawling out of the grave, Shiro's been calling himself a wandering soul, basically a pissed-off ghost with a serious grudge and a to-do list. Our warrior's eyes are literally glowing with rage as this dark shadow drops on the enemy. The fire golem doesn't even clock what's happening until Shiro's already in his face swinging. The monster whips around to block, but our knight still lands a brutal hit. The enemy's genuinely shocked by all the different moves, Shiro's busting out and then yeets the annoying knight away. Shiro knows dragging this fight out is a terrible idea. He needs to wrap this up fast. Our boy takes off sprinting through the demolished streets, like his life depends on it, desperately hunting for that artifact. Then he spots his dagger just sitting there in the distance, practically glowing. The thing's pretty far, but our boy's just relieved he found it at all. Meanwhile, the golem's scanning the area for that annoying knight. The giant catches something in the distance, both the fragment and the guy sprinting toward it. The monster has this light bulb moment, realizing this is exactly what it needs to unlock God mode. Yeah, no way is this fiery bastard letting anyone yoink the last fragment. Our boy's literally one step away from grabbing the blade when he notices the fire golem also hauling ass toward the artifact. There's this sharp flash of light that hits Shiro's face, then bam, the monster straight up tackles him away. Our boy gets launched backward and hits the ground hard, teeth clenched in pure fury. The villain snatches up the last shard, having himself a whole villain moment. The fire monster can finally unleash his full power. There's this absolutely massive explosion, and the golem just vanishes. Things are escalating real fast now. The villain's got true power, and he's already planning world domination because of course he is. That's villain 101. Our hero's squaring up against this ridiculously overpowered enemy, and honestly, his chances are looking rough. The scene cuts to the dungeon of Lavi Castle. Messias is monologuing about destiny and how everything has a beginning and an end, getting real philosophical with it. She's casting some spell near that busted flask when Cain senses someone messing with his vibe. With this furious scream, he unleashes purple flames everywhere. But our boy knight doesn't flinch. The demon's busy gloating at the humans when suddenly his hand starts changing color. Shiro's fighting back hard, absolutely refusing to roll over and die. Our boy keeps trying to overpower this fire golem, but the monster's threatening him with a quick death once it fully syncs with the new artifact. That's when Cain wakes up inside and starts fighting the monster from within. The fire golem literally starts punching itself because of the civil war happening in there. Shiro realizes Cain's fighting back from the inside. The loyal knight, swearing revenge for the attempted body hijacking, comes at the monster with everything he's got. The weakened monster leaves an opening in its defense, and Shiro sees his shot to actually win this. Right then, a memory hits him from his early knighthood days, the time when he first met the queen. Our boy's standing there in silence as she asks if he's ready for service. Her eyes are piercing right through him, full of schemes and manipulation. But our boy didn't know that, so he just said, "Yep, of course. I'm willing to do anything for you." Back to the present, our boy was charging at the fire golem, never second-guessing his goal, saying how he refuses to break his oath, throwing himself back into battle against the monster, except this time, it's not for the princess. It's for something that actually matters. He brings down the hardest blow yet on the enemy, and this thing seriously packed a punch because the entire city shakes from the impact. Buildings are collapsing everywhere, kicking up massive dust clouds. The fire monster manages to block the attack, but he drops the fragment. Shiro knocked it loose before it could fully sync with the monster. This bastard lost the only chance he had, so now he has to pay because just then our boy's fist connected to his stupid face. Inside, tortured Cain is screaming for the demon to get the hell out of his body. Meanwhile, our boy picks up the fragment, wondering why the hell he is trying so hard. He is coughing blood, and he can feel his strength draining. Betrayed and broken, he's fighting on fumes in spite alone just then. The thought of Natsu flashes through his mind. She denied him the back shots, but our boy intended to keep the promise he had made that day, though now it's not because he loves her. Then he clenches his fist and thinks how he'll definitely not lose again. Then Shiro channels the power of the violet flame. A purple beam shoots into the sky like a goddamn signal flare, and soon purple light floods our boy completely, and the fire monster realizes that he's absolutely cooked now because Shiro's now supercharged with energy from the relic. That mysterious hooded advisor watching from the shadows realizes his entire plan just went up in flames. Mesias spots the pillar of purple energy too, and she's actually hypey that Shiro managed to awaken the artifact's power. Our boy is surging with monstrous power as the transformation reaches its climax. The synchronization was a success. Shiro's been transformed into something completely different. Walking out, our boy looked at this big bastard, saying how it's over now. Our boy's ready to end this. Meanwhile, Cain's still wrestling for control of his own body, but it's getting harder to contain the monster. So he decided to do some good in the end and told our boy that the heart is the weak point and told our boy that he is counting on him now. I won't let you down, Shiro responds as he pulls out this sick-looking blade. Then the monster takes control once again. And then he starts going on about how he is wielding 6 shards while our boy only has 1, asking our boy if he really thinks that he can win this fight with those odds stacked against him. Meanwhile, our boy's recalling all of his past battles where he came out on top, psyching himself up. Then he just charges at this fire demon, throwing the most demonic strike you've ever seen. There's violet energy literally ripping space apart around him. The fire demon isn't playing around either. He powers up and launches this massive fire tornado straight at our boy. The 2 attacks slam into each other, and the whole city's just exploding left and right. Shiro's talking mad trash to the fire monster, like is that really all you got, and keeps pressing the attack. The monster's trying to warn him that the magic's going to consume him, and he won't be able to control it. But Shiro's got his AirPods in, he isn't hearing none of that. He's flashing back to when he was a kid, remembering how small, weak, and helpless he was. But now, nah, it's a whole different story. Our boy charges forward with 0 chill, and this blob of pure dark energy just erupts from his hand, moving so fast it catches the demon completely off guard. The fire golem wraps itself in this protective flame aura, but Shiro's running on pure hatred and rage, probably still mad about those royal backshots he never got, and he slams this demon with his strike so powerful you can feel it through the page. The fire demon goes absolutely flying while Shiro just stands there in that iconic anime victory pose, thinking about the time he was knighted by the queen, and he is thinking how this world isn't that bad. Cut back to the present day, and the weather's matching the mood storm clouds everywhere, rain pouring down like the sky's crying. There's this single red rose blooming in the middle of all this destruction. The fire demon crashes onto the wet pavement, its flames flickering weakly like a dying candle. All that magical energy condenses into this purple crystal, and Kane's finally waking up from getting his ass beat, just lying there in the rain looking pathetic. Our boy walks over and straight up kicks this dude while he's down, telling him to stop pretending. Right now, he is looking at Kane with pure disgust. Look what you've done, he snaps, gesturing at the entire ruined city that's literally still smoking. But this bastard just says, "Don't feel cocky. I never lost to you. You only managed to draft me because I told you the weak point, but our boy fires back with, this whole battle only happened because of you." Man's completely exhausted, barely able to stand, but he's got enough energy left to roast this guy. Shiro's furious about all of Kane's lies and broken promises, and he's torn between wanting this bastard dead or wanting him to suffer longer for revenge. Kane told our boy that all of this wasn't his fault. He was tricked. That bastard from earlier had told him to collect all those fragments, and he very conveniently forgot to mention the side effects. Before these two could tear each other apart, Mesias walked in carrying Alicia. She puts her down beside him, saying how for now she's willing to put aside what he had done because he helped her by lending her his powers. He gently hugs Aisha, whispering her name all sad and tragic. Standing there in the rain surrounded by ruins, it's basically his death announcement. Mesias and Shiro start discussing Kane, calling him a victim of fate and his own greed dude got corrupted by the same power he was chasing. Shiro walks over and reaches for a shard of the artifact as he collects all of them. This purple blade materializes, and Mesias starts explaining how this blade is basically a nuke that could wipe out an entire city with one swing. Suddenly, there's this weird noise, and a portal opens behind them, and chains shoot forward. Shiro dodges, completely stunned by how strong this attack is. Then this mysterious cloaked figure with burning eyes appears, and you just know anyone with glowing eyes under a hood is bad news. Mesias tries to grab the blade, but this hooded guy Kane knocks her down and snatches the artifact himself. This mysterious magician just got exactly what he came for, but our boy's not having it and tries to take it back, hitting him with a magical strike, but this dude just casually blocks it with magical chains. This dark figure's out here mocking how weakened the Night King has gotten and then shoves Shiro away like he's nothing. Our warrior's face is burning with pure rage. He's done playing around. Shiro screams and unleashes this massive magical strike that makes the air itself shake. The pink chains explode under the pressure, and the enemies watching in complete horror. The mage barely dodges in time and probably felt that attack breeze past his face. Then he starts reminiscing about when Shiro was at his peak, back when he was actually a threat. But now, the King of Knights is running on empty, and he's staring at his opponent with this hopeless look. Our exhausted knight is realizing just how powerless he is right now. The Dark Mage is enjoying this whole situation but also wants to wrap things up quickly. Just then, Mesias walks forward, asking if this is where it starts. She angrily spits out the name Ravice. This guy starts laughing, saying how it has been a while since they last met, and then tells her how she's going to regret betraying him one day. But nah, she smiles back, points at our boy, and says how Ravice will be the one who'll lose this battle, and it'll be all thanks to him. Then Ravice just opens a portal and dips, but before he drops the speech about how God's about to wake up, so humanity is definitely cooked after he's gone. Shiro slams his fist on the ground in frustration, thinking how he couldn't do anything and how he's too weak right now. Then he turns to Messias and asks if she knew that bastard. She nods, saying how they've actually known each other for a great deal of time. Shiro gets all mad. He grabs her by the collar, saying how she should have warned him beforehand so he could prepare and not lose the artifact like some amateur. The guy needs to cool down, though he's barely standing on his feet after fighting just one magical warrior. Shiro's about to object when suddenly a familiar voice calls out. Carol comes running as fast as she can toward her Oni-chan. Our boy asks Messias to report any information she has. She admits she didn't expect the magician to return so soon either. She underestimated the whole situation. Carol's clearly terrified after her fight with that lion. She runs up to Shiro, begging him to comfort her. Our boy hugs the girl and promises that as long as he's with her, he won't let anyone hurt her. Then he turns back to Messias and demands she tell him everything she knows today. No more delays. Messias agrees. Carol gets all mad, though, being all cute, saying how she fought her hardest. So our boy has to reward her now, and as a reward, she wants to spend her day with our boy. The guy would love to spend time with her, but first he needs to regain his strength. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl from earlier crawls out from under some rubble. When she sees Shiro, the child starts shouting out the name of their savior, saying how our boy saved them again. Then other people joined in as well. Now the crowd gets closer and closer, and our boy is thinking how he's once again the center of attention. But this time it feels different somehow. Fast forward a bit, and we're in Kane's castle. Shiro and Messias are down in the very basement where this whole mess began, where Kane synchronized with that fragment of the magical artifact. Messias starts going on about fate and destiny, how no one can escape the curse of fate. Shiro cuts through the philosophical BS, saying how he didn't come here for idle chatter. He wants specifics. Messias holds out her hand and offers to look into the story together, but Shiro's skeptical as hell, saying how he trusted her until she started hiding things from him. But she didn't save his life once, so he's going to try giving her another chance. They shake hands, and Messias promises to tell him what she knows, and she is willing to tell him everything. Suddenly, Shiro finds himself in this unfamiliar place, his projections hovering in the air above some scenic spots, and he's wondering where the hell he is. Messias appears beside him, explaining she's transported them back 5,000 years back when civilization didn't even exist yet, and gods used humans as slaves. People are panicking, trying to run away from someone. This huge shadow approaches, and a heavy blow falls upon these unfortunate people. This huge red-headed god starts bragging about the punch he just used to put down so many innocents, like it's some kind of sport. His blue friend finds it too boring, though he prefers clenching them in his fist. In his opinion, that's way more fun. Back in this old era, before humans gained any real power, humanity was literally treated like livestock. Shiro's wondering how did people back then manage to defeat these giant creatures? The answer, they couldn't. Only a god can overpower another god. So what does that mean? Humans are too weak to stand against gods directly. The only way forward is to exploit the contradictions within the gods themselves, make the gods fight amongst themselves, and capitalize on the chaos. And only one man was able to accomplish this incredible feat. Meanwhile, on the ground, some dude approaches the sleeping god, screaming and shouting to Lord Kronos that the information has been passed on as instructed. And this dude is none other than Ravice. So our boy's standing there completely lost, asking Messias what kind of intel Ravice even had back in the day. Messias turns to him like, "Bro, you have to understand the gods were literally backstabbing each other 24/7. It was Game of Thrones, but with actual immortal beings." Back on the ground, Ravice walks up to Kronos. He's like, "Yo boss, remember those guys you sent to Highland Island? They found something wild. Turns out Lord Katrin's been researching how to seal gods. And when I say Kronos went ballistic, I mean this man's entire aura turned red with rage. He's screaming, "To the hell is he planning to steal?" Because think about it, once Katrin perfects this technique, fighting becomes pointless. You can't beat someone who can just snap their fingers and trap you in god jail forever. So Kronos makes the executive decision right there. We're killing Katrin. Now, before this gets out of hand, Ravice just watches Kronos storm off, and you can see the gears turning in his head. The Seacon Kronos is out of sight. This random dude pops out from the bushes. He's like, "We have to tell the others that Kronos is about to smoke Katrin." Folks, Ravice is playing 4D chess here, trying to end this whole god power struggle. Meanwhile, Messias told our boy how Ravice was originally just a dragon hunter, but he had to level up his game when gods started their divine civil war. Fast forward a bit, and there's this massive rumbling sound. Kronos literally teleports in, grabs Katrin by the throat, and pile drives him into the ground. Katrin's completely Beeline-sided, asking what the hell he did wrong. Kronos gets in his face, accusing him of learning the sealing technique even though it's explicitly forbidden by god law. What's your endgame here? Huh. Katrin tries the innocent route, saying it's got nothing to do with Kronos. but Kronos isn't buying it for a second. He's convinced Catron's plotting to destroy him, so he winds up for a killing blow. Right at that exact moment, Catron then orders Ravice to do his thing, and this madman jumps out of the water and starts channeling the Highland Island sealing technique. A gigantic magical formation spreads across the water's surface. Kronos spots Ravice and does a double take like, wait, you were here. But that split-second distraction is all Catron needed. The blue god rams his hand straight through Kronos' chest. It was a setup the whole time. Catron's like, you shouldn't have bared your fangs at me, idiot. Then magical chains shoot out and wrap around Kronos faster than he can react, saying how Kronos walked face first into their trap, and nobody's letting him escape. The chains coil around his neck, completely immobilizing him. 1 second later, Kronos straight up evaporates. All that's left behind is his magic sword, just floating there like loot from a video game boss. Catron picks up the sword, looking smug as hell, saying, Kronos never imagined he'd get played like this. Ravice asks the obvious question, what happens when the other gods find out you just murdered one of their own? Catron doesn't even respond with words. He just swings the sword casually. This enormous energy wave shoots out, and when it reaches the mountains in the distance, it slices through them like they're made of paper. Ravice is absolutely shook at the destructive power. With both the sealing technique and Kronos' leftover power, Catron's basically unstoppable now. Ravice immediately pledges his loyalty, saying how Catron just became the most dangerous being in existence. And folks, this was the moment everything went to shit. Catron flexed his new powers by perfecting the god sealing technique, and he made it so even regular humans could activate the sealing formation. He basically democratized god murder. Catron felt untouchable. Getting Kronos' violet flame sword meant he absorbed a chunk of his divine power. But what he didn't realize was that he just opened Pandora's box because literally, it was the worst possible move. From that point on, paranoia spread through the gods like wildfire. They started doubting each other, keeping tabs on one another, and straight up murdering anyone who looked suspicious. The gods became opportunistic as hell, and they started empowering humans to fight their battles for them. They'd give people fragments of divine power to help take down rival gods. The god body count skyrocketed, but humanity's power was also growing exponentially too. Eventually, humans became more powerful than the gods themselves. Whoops! Catron watches in absolute horror as he realizes what he's created. Meanwhile, Ravice had been waiting for this exact scenario for years. Ravice's historical backstabbing brought this dark-ass future to humanity, but for him, it was all according to plan. After taking down Catron, Ravice crowned himself god of the entire world. Humanity celebrated, and Ravice was like, yeah, I'm your god now. Our boy Shiro suddenly snaps back to reality. His projection starts glitching out, and in the next second they were back. Our boy turned to Messias and asked her if that was it. She told him that maybe Ravice did something to keep this story buried. Now Shiro understands what kind of enemy he's facing, a regular-ass human who had the balls to manipulate gods and actually succeed. Cut to some time later, and Ravice approaches the queen with some juicy intel saying how he investigated our boy as she said and then goes. He is indeed an interesting man because he has his sight on us as well. After hearing all that, the queen had enough. She materializes these magic daggers out of thin air and launches them straight at Ravice, but this bastard decided to aura farm and dodge all of them. And this cocky bastard doesn't even flinch. He tells her calmly, look, you helped me get rid of Klein, and I'll keep my end of the bargain. Because let me tell you something, even you can't handle the Barbaros family's wrath when they come knocking. The queen realizes this is actually serious business now. Ravice suddenly breaks into a smile, going, relax, I'm just messing with you. The queen's eye twitches, you can tell she's fumming inside. She makes a mental note, I'm killing this magician the first chance I get. But Ravice waves it off like, yeah, death threats later. Right now, we need to focus on the present. He's convinced they can build this amazing partnership together. Meanwhile, back in the castle dungeon, Shiro's getting heated. He demands more information about Ravice's backstory. He is like, show me everything with the Ring of Destiny. I need the full picture here. Telling her how he kept his promise and collected all those artifacts for her, he asks her, how is he supposed to fight an enemy when he knows nothing about it? The Ring of Destiny responds through Messias, saying it's not the right time to reveal everything. When the moment comes, Shiro will figure it out himself. Shiro's getting annoyed now, calling her out, you always hide behind the Ring of Fate whenever I ask real questions. Messias gets quiet and says she's just a lonely soul. Our boy laughs, saying how he is also one. Cut to later at Lavi Castle, Shiro's finally getting some well-deserved sleep when suddenly Carol kicks the door open and folks, she's screaming at maximum volume with big news for Big Brother. Shiro groans, thinking, what could possibly be more important than sleep? Then Carol drops the bomb, you're about to become the lord of this castle. Shiro's brain short-circuits. Before he can even process this, a whole crowd of townspeople flood into his chambers and start bowing to him. They announce that Lavi Castle now belongs to Shiro as their way of thanking him for saving the city, but our boy just straight out refused it. The crowd's confused as hell. Why is Lord Shiro turning this down? Isn't this enough payment? Shiro takes a deep breath and lays it out straight. Look, I didn't save you people out of the goodness of my heart. I did it for my own reasons. He slams his hand on the table next to him, making everyone jump. Now get out of my room. I'm not your savior. You want a hero? Go find another idiot willing to play that role. Then, not wanting to deal with these idiots, he walks out, thinking to himself how he is not going to trust anyone. A few minutes later, Shiro's already at the castle gates, ready to bounce. Messias floats beside him, genuinely surprised. You're leaving already? The villagers clearly want you to stay. Shiro cuts her off. They don't want me. They want whoever they can project their hero fantasies onto. There's a difference. Messias presses him. Don't you have any attachments here? You've been here for a year. Shiro doesn't even look at her and asks her, what's the point of being attached to anything? And told her to just shut up and follow him. He barely takes 10 steps before he hears a small voice shouting his name through the rain. It's the little pink-haired girl from before, completely soaked but running after him. She's breathing hard, saying she heard he was leaving and wanted to give him provisions for the journey. She pulls out these perfectly wrapped breads that were clearly made with care. For the first time in this whole scene, Shiro's expression softens. He actually looks pleased by this gesture. He accepts the gift and genuinely thanks her. The girl says she'll pray to the gods for his safety. As she says, good boy, he pauses for a second, thinking how he wants to kill those bastards, but he can't break this little girl's heart, so he tells her how he is thankful for it. They part ways on that surprisingly wholesome note. As Shiro walks, he takes a good look at the bread, saying how it's a symbol of a good harvest. Fast forward a bit, and we're outside Lavi Castle, where it's cold as hell. Carol's shivering, complaining about how she can't even get a fire started in this freezing weather. Shiro drops down from a tree and casually walks over. Without missing a beat, he activates his Hellfire skill and lights up the kindling like it's nothing. Carol's absolutely starstruck watching him work. In 1 second flat, he's got them both warm and cozy. Now that the campfire is handled, Shiro cuts to the chase and asks her, why is she following me? Carol immediately goes into fangirl mode, saying she really likes him, that he's her idol, and she just wants to hang out and have fun adventures together. But our boy's not buying it. He can smell bullshit from a mile away and knows she's dodging the real answer. Carol's desperate now, saying she'll tell him anything he wants to hear as long as it satisfies him. Shiro switches gears and asks her to pass the perfume. Carol hands him this sketchy-looking pouch, and the second he opens it, the smell hits him like a truck. It absolutely reeks. Our boy decides not to interrogate her further since she clearly doesn't want to talk, but he warns her, sooner or later, you're going to have to tell me the truth. Carol's just sitting there thinking Shiro's the coolest, nicest guy in the world. Then Shiro glances up at the treetops and wonders what Messias is doing up there. What he doesn't know is that she's using the Ring of Destiny, trying to manipulate fate so they can avoid the problems coming their way. The ring activates, and her eyes start glowing gold in the next second. She finds herself transported to this unknown void when suddenly she hears someone crying out for help. She's confused as hell, thinking to herself, who in a place like this could possibly need saving? Then out of nowhere, this absolutely massive angel materializes, and he is furious. He's screaming about uninvited guests who dare to tamper with fate. The angel stretches out his hand toward Messias, and this gigantic palm comes flying at her face. She's completely frozen in terror, watching this hand rapidly approach. The force of whatever he does snaps the top of the tree she's sitting on, and she starts plummeting toward the ground. Shiro immediately notices something's wrong. He sprints over and launches himself into the air, catching Messias mid-fall before she faceplants into the dirt. He's like, what the hell just happened? Turns out Messias got a little too ambitious with the Ring of Destiny. She accidentally woke up the god of fate himself, and he was not happy about it and straight up tried to delete her from existence. Shiro tells her to stop trying to look at his fate, saying how he'll wait and see what the future brings, and if he doesn't like what he sees, he burned it all down himself. Cut to the next morning, and Carol wakes up to find Shiro already up and cooking breakfast for her. He tells her they're hitting up Lavi Castle tonight, and asks if she wants to help with a fun introduction. Carol perks up immediately. Shiro grins, saying how this is going to be super exciting. He plans to turn Lavi Castle completely upside down, because why would he ever do anything subtle? Meanwhile, inside the castle, guards are running around searching for Nicole. The girl in gold armor reports to her superior that they can find zero trace of how Nicole escaped. The man in the closed helmet is pissed. He doesn't want to hear excuses and threatens to execute anyone who disobeys orders. Suddenly, the castle gates get blown wide open. Shiro and Carol, armed with that godforsaken stench pouch, storm onto the palace grounds like they own the place. Shiro announces loudly, everyone, please welcome the new owners of Lavi Castle, because of course they brought gifts. Shiro's nothing if not theatrical. He hurls the first flask, and when it shatters on the ground, this overwhelming stench spreads throughout the entire courtyard. Then our boy starts saying how it may smell a little strong, but it's made with love. The effects are incredible. Men get strength, women get beauty. So take a deep breath. Carol backs him up, praising it as the most natural fragrance of all, but the people are horrified. They literally can't breathe. Some are gagging, others are covering their faces. One guard screams that it's a despicable act to throw biological warfare in broad daylight. The man in the helmet can't comprehend what's wrong with these two absolute lunatics who just showed up. The girl in gold armor steps forward, asking for permission to handle this personally. The helmet guy tells her she won't be executed if she destroys these bandits who just disrespected the lands of Lavi Castle. Shiro notices the night approaching, and his grin widens. Looks like we caught our first fish of the day. The redhead starts roasting our boy, saying how she doesn't know who these clowns are, but she won't let them do what they wish in the Lavi Castle. Shiro's just standing there thinking, all right, let's see what you got. Then he ran towards her quick as hell and just yoinked a wallet straight off of her belt. The redhead notices immediately and loses her mind, screaming about how that's her blood money he just swiped. Shiro opens the wallet and finds one single silver coin and goes, that's it. 1 silver coin is all you got. Meanwhile, the redhead is going off about how that's her entire month's paycheck and telling our boy to give it back right now. Shiro just tosses it back to her like, damn, that's barely worth stealing. Then Shiro looks over at the older dude in the helmet and his eyes light up. Unlike the redhead, that guy looks loaded. So naturally, he charges straight at him, saying he wants to borrow something. The helmet guy sees him coming and immediately drops into a fighting stance, shouting, not today, kid. Then this absolute unit summons a massive spirit warrior to fight for him. Shiro's actually impressed, thinking this guy's got some real skills. The giant spirit swings at him, but the attack's slow as hell, and Shiro dodges it like he's playing on easy mode. He closes the distance on the helmet guy, who realizes way too late that he's screwed. And folks, he was because one punch from our boy and he goes flying straight to the wall. Now the guy's barely standing, and Shiro's like, so about that loan. But before he can rob this man Lin, a rope shoots out and wraps around Shiro's leg. It's the red-haired girl again, holding him in place to buy her boss some time. She repeats that whole speech about not letting them do whatever they want, and Shiro's just amused, thinking these people are way more interesting than the boring idiots back at Lin Castle. The girl overhears him say Lin Castle, and her eyes go wide. Wait, this is Shiro? She doesn't know what went down at Lin Castle, but she's sure as hell not letting it happen here. Shiro tries to calm her down, saying he's just messing around and having some fun, but while he's talking, Helmet Guy sees his opening. He pulls out a signal gun and fires a bright red flare into the sky. Shiro hears the explosion and groans. Oh great, now there's going to be backup? Meanwhile, Carol was doing her thing, distracting soldiers so that they don't mess with her Oni-chan's fun time. But these guys are dragging their feet, so Carol's like, all right, you know what? I've got a solution for this. She pulls out another one of those stink bomb jars and smashes it at their feet. The soldiers weren't ready for Carol to have a whole arsenal of these things stashed away. There's a bright flash, and suddenly everyone's gagging and begging for fresh air. Meanwhile, Carol was enjoying this all just way too much, telling them not to be so dramatic, as that stuff was completely harmless. On the other side of the castle, soldiers from every direction see the red flare from Mr. Brighton and start panicking. If they don't get there fast, they're going to get chewed out. Every squad in the area starts rushing toward the commander's location. Back with Shiro, he casually snaps the rope with his bare hands like it's nothing. He's had his fun for the day, so he figures it's time to bounce. The red-haired girl is standing there absolutely dumbfounded. This guy started all of this, caused complete chaos, and now he's just leaving? For Shiro, this whole thing was like a trip to an amusement park. Life's short, you have to enjoy it while you can. But the girl's not having it. She reaches behind her back and pulls out her sword. Then, with zero hesitation, she launches it at Shiro like a javelin. Our boy doesn't even look stressed. He dodges it mid-stride, then jumps up onto a nearby roof and starts making his way toward Carol. He scoops the girl up in his arms and tells her that he had enough fun for the day. But Carol's disappointed, asking why he didn't teach that ugly girl a lesson first. The red-haired knight definitely heard that and is fumming because, for the record, she has tons of fans who think she's gorgeous. Shiro just laughs it off, saying this was just a greeting. He's going to be sticking around for a while, so they'll definitely meet again soon. Carol gets all excited thinking about how much fun it'll be to mess with these guys next time. Shiro and Carol book it out of the castle grounds at top speed while the girl screams after them that she wants to settle this right now. Then suddenly, another stink bomb jar lands right at her feet. The flashlight lights up her face, and you can see the exact moment she realizes what's about to happen. Now she really wants to catch these two. Cut to a completely different scene, there's this barefoot girl running through the city streets, screaming for help. Based on her ragged clothes and the state she's in, someone's definitely been experimenting on her. The Lord of Castle Fang put out a bounty for her capture, and now the palace guards are hunting her down. She trips and falls flat on her face, and the guards immediately surround her. They haven't even caught her yet, and they're already arguing about how to split the reward money. The girl's terrified, thinking there's no way in hell she's going back to that place. She remembers what they did to her, and the thought alone fills her with rage. She grits her teeth, and suddenly, the temperature drops. Her eyes start glowing. One guard tells everyone to fall back, screaming that this little girl is a witch. But before they can scatter, every single one of them gets turned into ice sculptures. The girl tries to run again, desperate to get away from people. But then she sees a bright flash of light right in front of her. Mesias materializes out of nowhere, blocking her path. The girl backs up, terrified, begging them not to come closer. She's crying, saying she doesn't want to hurt anyone. So Mesias walks up to this terrified kid and pulls her into a hug, going all mom mode, telling her that it's okay now. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore. Meanwhile, over at the west side of Lavi Castle, Carol's absolutely inhaling a bowl of noodles. Shiro's watching her and tells her to enjoy it while it lasts, because once word spreads about their little stink bomb terrorism, they're going to be wanted across the whole city. But Carol's already 10 steps ahead. She just shrugs and says if anyone refuses to cook for them, they'll just make them cook. Shiro's looking at his student like a proud parent, thinking, this girl gets it. She's learning. The innkeeper's been side-eyeing these two the whole time, clearly suspicious. Then some dude bursts out from the back and whispers something to the innkeeper. The next second, the innkeeper's pointing at them, screaming they're wanted criminals guilty of debauchery. So our dynamic duo realizes it's time for their favorite strategy, tactical retreat. They bolt, but the guards spot them immediately, and these guys are OUT for blood because they're still traumatized from the stink bomb incident. Carol just smirks and pulls out more flasks of that biological warfare, basically asking, y'all want round two? The guards get hit with that unholy stench again and are probably questioning every life choice that led them to this moment. Cut to the red-haired girl apologizing to Brighton for failing the mission. She's beating herself up, but Brighton's being weirdly chill about it, like, nah, those criminals were just built different, don't stress. She wants to mobilize every soldier in Lavi Castle for a manhunt, but Brighton shuts that down quick. He says forget about the criminals for now, priority number one is finding Nicole. Then he drops this concerning line, calling Nicole both a real monster and an important tool, which is giving major red flags about what they've been doing to this poor kid. The girl agrees though, so they're on the same page with this sketchy plan. On the first day after the stink bomb incident, wanted posters of Shiro and Carol are plastered everywhere around Lavi Castle. Then Shiro notices Mesias wandered off, and Carol spots her under a tree hugging some random kid. They walk over to check it out, and Shiro's narrating in his head about how this child's fate was sealed from birth, doomed to be a victim in someone else's twisted game. The guards mention looking for someone named Nicole, and if this is Nicole, then apparently the entire castle's future depends on this one traumatized little girl. The kid's passed out in Mesias' arms, mumbling about her mom in her sleep. Meanwhile, at Lavi Castle's library, there's this priest walking around doing his whole sermon routine, preaching about how the apocalypse is coming and the only way to survive is to abandon logic and put blind faith in God. You know, classic cult leader energy. But there is one more thing. This priest I is actually the Lord of Lavi Castle. Brighton comes running in with urgent news, and Fang immediately gets pissy because he's warned him like a million times not to interrupt his divine revelation reading time. Brighton apologizes but says this is important enough to risk it. Turns out Fang already knows about Nicole disappearing and the intruders. Brighton's shocked, and Fang goes into this pretentious speech about how if Brighton also abandoned rational thought and listened to divine revelation, he could be psychic too. Then he drops back into preacher mode with some cryptic prophecy. When old age comes, thick ice will crack the rock. Everyone will perish, and only the believers will be saved. Over at Branchino Manor, Irina just got home and heads to her father's room. The old man calls her in because he's got that I'm dying and need to drop some final wisdom energy. He tells her the Branchinos are a big deal family, and when he kicks the bucket, she'll be the one carrying the torch. He apologizes for being too strict with her growing up, but Irina's all business. She wants to keep fighting for the family's ideals. Her dad's a little disappointed by that answer, though. Not because she's unreliable, but because she's a woman, and in this medieval sexist hellscape, that's apparently a problem waiting to happen. Irina tells him not to worry about it, and the old man seems satisfied enough to finally rest. Cut to some time later. An attendant comes and checks his pulse, turns to her, and goes, "Welp, he's dead." Irina looks at her father and promises to protect the family legacy no matter what. Back with our crew outside Lavi Castle, Shiro's confused as hell about how one little girl can determine the fate of an entire castle. Mesias drops some philosophy about how fate's unpredictable. If she hadn't shown up that day, Shiro would still be a pile of barbecue ash at the execution grounds. Meanwhile, Carol's feeling all sympathetic for the kid, but Mesias tells her to chill, telling her that Nicole has been through so much, so she's frightened around strangers. Shiro tries to refocus everyone. Their actual mission is finding the ice hammer. That's when Mesias hits them with the news that the girl's body has a shard of the ice hammer inside her. Shiro's like, Who the hell does that to a kid? The girl starts having nightmares again. She's running through this dark labyrinth, trying to hide from someone, calling out for help. Then chains just appear out of nowhere, trip her up, and she face plants on the stone floor. She turns around and sees this massive hand reaching for her. It's that bastard priest, holding an ice shard, going full religious fanatic mode, and calling her his beloved princess chosen by God. He's saying she needs to accept this divine blessing. And then he just stabs her with this huge ice shard. The power floods her body while she's screaming in agony. The girl jolts awake, and Messias is right there waiting for her. She comes over, pulls her into a hug once more, and comforts her, promising that nobody's going to hurt you anymore. The scene shifts, and our boy is complaining like a little kid, asking why he got stuck on cooking duty. Carol just drops the grocery basket and straight up screams at him to shut his mouth and get cooking, saying that the girl they rescued needs to eat, and he's out here acting like a baby. Shiro doesn't appreciate being yelled at like this, but deep down he's low-key excited to flex his cooking skills and blow everyone's minds. Carol's bouncing with excitement because she's about to taste her big bro's home cooking for the first time. Inside the room, the girl's asking Mesias why she even bothered saving her. Mesias goes into full philosophical mode, talking about how it was Fate's will. Fate wanted the girl to meet her, and they're all just puppets dancing on Fate's strings anyway. But the girl's still terrified, explaining how Lord Fang tried to turn her into a straight-up monster. Mesias gently asks her to share what happened, but the moment the kid tries to think about it, this sharp pain shoots through her body and mind. The trauma's so bad, she literally can't remember without it feeling like she's being stabbed. Just then, Shiro and Carol burst in carrying this massive platter of food. Mesias tells the girl to eat first, get her strength up, and then they can talk about the heavy stuff. Shiro sets everything down and calls everyone over for the meal. The girl thanks him for caring, and our boy walks over, puts a hand on her shoulder, all reassuring like, and tells her she's got nothing to fear as long as she's with them. But the second Shiro takes his hand off her shoulder, this weird glow appears. Even Mesias notices it's something mystical just went down between them. Later that night, the little girl was knocked out, sleeping next to Carol. Meanwhile, Shiro's doing his signature move, sitting on a rooftop looking broody and contemplative. Mesias climbs up to join him because apparently she doesn't want the lonely hero sulking by himself. Shiro admits he's exhausted. He doesn't want to work with Mesias anymore because, honestly, it's boring. Mesias is shocked the great hero of Lavi Castle is actually tired, but Shiro clarifies he's tired of the uncertainty. He's stuck in this weird limbo where he's not a full hero, but not a full villain either, and he hates himself for it. Like, who even is he at this point? Mesias says it doesn't matter because people are going to judge him regardless, that's just how life works. But Shiro actually cares about that judgment. Mesias points out that's actually a good thing because they're both hopeless beings anyway, so they can only do what they can. That's why they're still together, they've got no hope left, so they might as well stick it out as a team. Depressing but oddly comforting. Meanwhile, the manhunt for our runaway criminals is in full swing through the city. Arena and the palace guards are interrogating random people, looking for our boy and Carol. Some random dude points in a direction, saying he saw the guy over there. But nah, no little girl with him. Arena orders everyone to stay sharp. As she was about to move forward, someone called for her. The voice is asking why the guards and knights are out here at this ungodly hour. Did they really pull an all-nighter without any sleep? Arena turns, saying how she found out about his real identity. Shiro's a demon who committed terrible crimes at Lavi Castle. Shiro's actually hurt by this. These accusations are completely false. He was the one getting roasted at the stake, remember? He's the victim here. Arena doesn't care and orders an attack. A bunch of arrows come flying at him, but Shiro just casually waves his hand, and they all scatter like confetti man didn't even try. Two guards think they're clever, sneaking up behind him. One charges up lightning magic, the other summons fire. Shiro just grabs both their fists mid-attack and doesn't feel a thing. The guards are absolutely stunned. Our boy's like, the fact you idiots learned so little about me means you have no idea. I'm the invincible righteous thief, Shiro. Then he just yeets both guards off the platform. Arena realizes things are going south real fast. She draws her sword and calls upon the strength of the Branchino family. She's got that family honor on the line now. She then looks at her sword, saying how she has to use her ultimate skill to teach this man who mocked Castle Lavi a proper lesson. In the next moment, her sword started glowing all red, and even our boy was surprised seeing it. He wondered if she's got some actual skill. After charging up her attack, she rushed at our boy, saying how he'll pay for what he did. Back at the hideout, Mesias is in full mama bear mode. She hasn't moved from this girl's side while this kid's been tossing and turning, having another nightmare. Her eyes shoot open, and whatever she just remembered, yeah, it's bad. She bolts upright in absolute panic, grabs her head, and starts saying how there was this church, and the dead bodies were scattered everywhere, and some monster did it. Mesias gently asks if she's okay. The girl breaks down crying, saying her friends, her family, everyone, they're all gone. That bastard from Fang murdered them all. Messias has heard enough. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the fight's still going crazy. Arena's launching fireballs at our boy, and Shiro's actually kind of impressed, saying how she is brain dead but has some awesome moves and melons. She's throwing these fire missiles at him, and the whole place lights up with explosions. It's getting hot as hell, so Shiro decides to take this party elsewhere. Arena's not letting him breathe, though, staying right on his tail. The guards are just standing there like NPCs because they literally can't keep up. These two are moving at anime protagonist speed. Shiro starts trolling her mid-combat, telling her she should be asleep right now or her pores are going to open up. This man's giving skincare tips while dodging fireballs, but Arena ignores his bullshit. She's carrying the honor of the Branchino family and refuses to let what happened at Lavi Castle go down here. Shiro's confused why she's still following him when his crew obviously set a trap and she's walking in completely exposed. But what really gets him laughing is that word justice. What's that about? That word just reminds Shiro of his own past when justice literally burned him at the stake. Arena's getting heated, saying she doesn't act like someone who'd break into a castle in broad daylight and start wrecking everything. Then she starts demanding answers from our boy, asking him why they kidnapped Nicole. She's their princess. Shiro loses it, laughing at that. Is this terrified girl seriously supposed to be royalty? He's genuinely dying. Arena asks what he's on about, but before she can finish, Shiro vanishes. He materializes behind her back instantly. She blocks just in time, but Shiro keeps attacking, and somehow this redhead is holding her own. Then our boy starts asking questions of his own, asking her if she even has a clue how terrified that little girl was. But nah, she has no clue and says that our boy is clearly lying. Why would the princess, who was chosen by the gods, be scared of anything? That's when Shiro gets it that all of these idiots have been brainwashed. He laughs, saying how it's always the people, with a strong sense of justice, that are the easiest to trick. Arena breaks away and creates some space. Our boy jumps back a few steps, clearly surprised by her. Arena yells for him to get down here and keep fighting, but Shiro's got something better. He wants to make a wager. There's no point in killing her. In 2 weeks, the whole world's going to flip. Her precious justice will look like a clone show. Lord Fang, Nicole, Brighton, everything will look completely different. If Shiro loses, Arena can do whatever she wants to him. That's the deal. But what if he's right? She can keep her justice without being puppeteered by others, but she needs to use her brain about it. Arena doesn't trust a word but takes the bet anyway. Shiro tosses her a coin to seal it. She catches it without saying anything. 2 weeks from now, they'll see what her justice is really worth. Then Shiro dips. Arena's completely gassed after that fight, too exhausted to chase. After his little chat with Arena, Shiro heads back to the spot, leaping from one building to another as he is midway there. Messias just spawns next to him. She's amused by that and asked our boy mischievously if he had taken a liking to Arena, and our boy is all annoyed that she just popped up out of nowhere and started teasing him. So without even turning, he told her just how wrong she was. He couldn't care less what an idiot Arena is. Messias then smiled and told our boy that since he's got time, he could hit up a new location, and he is going to like this one because it's the Church of the Holy Cross. Apparently, this place is drowning in light and blood. She told him what she heard from Nicole, that there are countless bodies buried there and tons of vengeful spirits screaming for help. At the church, there's a nun carrying flowers. She's praying to the god Antinos as people keep vanishing one after another. She's begging for protection and blessings for everyone who disappeared without a trace. An attendant steps out from behind a statue, asking what she's doing here this late. She explains she came to pray, hoping it'd help with these disappearances. The man straight up threatens her, telling her she's next on the list if she doesn't leave right now. The nun apologizes and books it out of there. Outside, she's praying hard, convinced Antinos will protect them because he's this great god. She was on her way home when she saw our boy on the tree, wondering if this place really was the Church of the Holy Cross. Why does the place where everyone prays look so janky? She got all too curious about this monkey man and asked him who he was and what he was doing in the tree. Our boy drops down and walks toward her and goes, "Over in Castle Lavi, they call me Shiro, a righteous thief." The nun sees his mask and remembers what God supposedly said. Those who hide their faces are villains. So she got to the only logical conclusion that this dude must be plotting something sketchy. She whips out a knife, tells him that she might look like a frail little numb, but she knows some moves, and asks him if he is here to cause chaos. In 1 second, Shiro has her flat on her back. He's pissed, asking if she can't hear the countless souls beneath their feet. They're screaming right below them. The nun calls him delusional. This is the holiest spot in the castle, and she won't let him disrespect God. Shiro slams his fist into the ground next to her face and tells her to shut it. He demands she close her eyes and actually listen, or he'll end her. The nun's confused why he's so angry but has no choice. She closes her eyes to hear whatever he's talking about. Immediately, she feels that disturbing presence. Restless souls are crying for help. Shiro pulls the nun up. He can tell from her face. She got it. They pray in this place every single day without noticing the spirits that can't rest. Isn't that wild? But this woman is still in denial, saying how our boy must be using some illusion or trick. There's no way a nun who works here daily wouldn't know about something this horrible. Standing there, our boy internally goes, "Well, I found another idiot." So he went. Want to bet on that? He said to her that if there are bodies in this church, maybe she's even in on it. If he wins, she does what he says. If she wins, she can do whatever she wants with him. The nun's skeptical but confused. She says even if she loses, she'll never turn her back on God. Shiro's cool with that, but tells her soon she'll completely forget about those words of loving God. The nun tells him to follow her so she can prove him wrong. They enter the main hall. While Shiro scopes the place out, she shows him the god they worship. Everyone who enters the temple kneels and prays, but Boy decided it was the right time to flex. So he casually mentioned how he had never prayed to a god but certainly had killed a few. The nun tries calling him out for insulting God, but he tells her to save that lecture until she wins the bet and adds that she'll soon realize all the problems in this world are created by God. Just then, that bastard from before showed up again in front of the statue, telling the NUN to leave, but now she brought more people. Suddenly, Shiro's behind the servant. His hand snatches the man's head and drives it into the floor. Man. Even the Holy Stone couldn't handle that impact. Dude just got his face rearranged on sacred ground. This bastard immediately went into the regular routine, asking our boy if he even knew who he was, and started threatening our boy, saying Lord Fang himself backs him up. Our boy grabs him by the collar, saying he knows exactly who he is, and that's precisely why he went after this clown. And then he goes on to beat the crap out of this bastard. The man grits his teeth, saying how he won't forget this disrespect, realizing he was in deep trouble. He summons the power of dead spirits to attack, and they rush straight at Shiro. Our boy takes a look at the spirits and wonders if this fool really thinks some budget necromancy is going to work, so he casually activates his fire purification power and just incinerates the spirits. In literally a blink, all those dead souls turn to ash. The man stumbles to his feet, so our boy decides, well, it's time for another beating, and then delivers a devastating knee to his face, and then our boy pins his face against the wall again. He wants to know where the secret passage is. The man thinks he's an idiot if he expects an actual answer. Shiro gives him two options. Either the servant talks and lives, or he dies and Shiro finds it himself anyway. The man laughs, saying how his life belongs only to his god, Antinos, and there is nothing our boy can do to make him talk. In that instant, Shiro smashes the man's head into the floor, saying how he chose his own path. The believer's body drops lifelessly to the ground, and the nun who sees it all is absolutely horrified, asking our boy how dare he kill a faithful believer inside Antinos' temple. Shiro will face divine judgment for what he's done. Shiro says he'd love to challenge this god with his own strength if the deity bothers showing up. In the meantime, she better take him to the basement unless she wants the same treatment. The nun realizes this guy isn't playing around. She leads him to the entrance, going down to the temple's foundation. As they were going down, the nun explained how she saw the high priest use this passage but never used it herself, as everyone else was banned from coming down here. As they were getting closer and closer to the bottom, our boy asked the nun if she could feel the disturbing energy radiating from this place. He added that even though she never went to a battlefield, she should be able to sense it as they are so close to it. But nah, she straight up rejects it, saying that she won't believe anything until she sees it with her own eyes. Cut to some time later, and they are on the end of the passage in front of this massive gate decorated with angel wings. Shiro tells the nun to back up so he can open it. He extends his blood-covered hand and presses his palm to the gate's center. The gate starts opening, emitting this creepy red glow. Red mist seeps out from the sealed room. The nun collapses to the ground. She's terrified by what she's witnessing. Meanwhile, our boy goes. No matter how pitiful they were, no matter how hard their lives were, in the end they were nothing but victims, and the scene inside is messed up. There are these massive pools of purple blood, corpses, and literal mountains of bones scattered everywhere and a gigantic tree feeding on their unfulfilled dreams. The nun covers her face, wondering why she did something so horrible, but the answer's painfully simple. They were all murdered to feed this massive creature. Now, even though she is seeing it all, she still can't believe it. This woman is in complete shock, though she finally realizes that the god they worshipped wasn't divine or noble. He was just a monster devouring their bodies and souls. The woman's scared out of her mind. Everything she believed in was a horrifying lie. While the nun tries processing this nightmare, Shiro decides it's time for a showdown with these false god servants. Suddenly, clawed demonic hands start emerging from the blood pools. Shiro summons a massive flaming sword and starts cleaving through demons. A whole swarm of nasty creatures shows their faces. Time to see what they've got. Meanwhile, at the royal residence, Fang senses someone's entered the temple basement. Meanwhile, back in the temple basement, there's this whole crowd of demons standing before our boy. Our boy laughs and tells the nun how he has already been to hell once before, which is exactly why he recognizes souls like these. This world's a miserable place, and he can hear their cries of regret echoing through the chamber. But even so, he still has to destroy them. Shiro charges into battle, knowing that even if these are the same missing people the nun mentioned, he has no other choice. Meanwhile, the nun was freaking out. All of this messed with her head. Back at the hut where Shiro and his crew were staying, Carol's absolutely dying of boredom. She's sitting there wondering why Shiro left her alone like this. Why does she have to babysit this girl? Look, she doesn't really mind helping out, but she definitely prefers the action at the castle way more. Suddenly, an arrow comes flying straight toward Carol. The girl hears it whistling through the air and dodges just in time. She sneaks over to the window to peek outside and see what's happening, and oh boy, a whole army of guards has surrounded the entire hut. Brighton's out there ordering them to capture Nicole, adding how Lord Fang said to bring her back, dead or alive. The archers draw their arrows again, and Carol's absolutely shocked, wondering how the hell the difficulty level just spiked to maximum out of nowhere. She doesn't want to fight this many guards by herself. Just then, the archers open fire, and a bunch of arrows come flying straight at her. Carol quickly grabs Nicole in a cloak and wraps the girl up tight, muttering how if they manage to escape this mess, she is definitely going to make our boy tree her. Carol scoops up the girl and launches herself out the window at full speed. The guards weren't expecting the girl to just jump straight at them like some maniac. While they're all processing what just happened, Carol cushions her landing by stepping on one guard's head as a footstool. Things are looking RO right now. They need to run now before this gets worse. Right then, Brighton blocks their escape route. He told Carol to leave Nicole, and maybe he'll let her go, but she straight up told him that's not happening, so this bastard used the same summoning magic to call for that massive night. So without even hesitating, this dude immediately goes for Carol, and he almost had her too, but our girl whips out her knight skill and summons a shield at the last second. While she's holding this thing up, she's internally panicking like, yeah, this isn't going to last, and surprise, surprise, she was right. The shield shatters, and this massive hand slams down so hard it sends both girls flying through the air like ragdolls. Carol's hurt bad, lying there thinking about how she promised our boy she'd protect Nicole, but before she can even catch her breath, the giant bastard walks up calling her a brat and just straight up grabs her head and slams it into the ground. Meanwhile, back in the temple basement, our boy Shiro has completely lost it, and I mean full psycho mode. He's just finished massacring every single demon down there, standing in a pool of blood like, yeah, these cursed things were born from tortured souls, and now they finally get their one-way ticket to hell where they belong. The nun watching all this is having a full-blown existential crisis, trying to process everything she just witnessed and desperately searching for meaning after realizing her god's been catfishing her this whole time. But Shiro cuts her soul-searching short, saying they need to bounce and get back to their crew upstairs. Just as he's about to leave, though, the blood on the ground starts moving like actually moving and shapes itself into Fang's form, saying he's got a question for our boy. This bloody projection greets him like, yo, Shiro, or should I say King of Knights Klein. Our boy's not having it and immediately chucks a dagger at his face, but it just goes straight through, splattering blood everywhere. So Shiro says, screw subtlety, and summons literal hellfire, unleashing it on this dude. Fang's just laughing like, as expected from the former King of Knights, no hesitation whatsoever. But here's the thing, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you fight, this castle isn't changing. The great god Antinos is about to wake up. Shiro just turns around and heads for the exit because he doesn't have time to chat with a dying man's blood clone. As they're leaving, the nun turns to Shiro, telling him she saw everything with her own eyes but still can't wrap her head around it. Like, Antinos was the god they believed in, he gave them peace and happiness. She can't just turn her back on him. So Shiro's like, alright, let me show you who you've really been worshipping this whole time. Cut to the main temple, and there's a massive crowd gathered because the guards just found a dead worshipper inside. Everyone's losing it, saying whoever committed this sin is damned for life. That's when Shiro walks into the main hall in his red cloak. At first, the guards don't recognize him, but then one soldier clocks him and immediately assumes the dead guy was Shiro's doing. They surround him real quick, saying they won't let him pull this crap again. Some are even blaming him for all the disappearances in town. The crowd starts getting riled up too, wondering if he's the demon Fang warned them about. They start praying to Antinos to help them defeat this monster. Shiro looks up at the statue of this fake god, and it all comes flooding back, being wrongfully accused and burned alive while everyone screamed at him. He clenches his fist, absolutely furious that the truth is always outnumbered by lies. He scatters the guards like bowling pins, only the one standing farthest back manages to hold his ground. But our boy notices something off. He launches himself high into the air, heading straight for Antinos' smug statue head, thinking, time to show these people the truth. Shiro slams his fist into the statue with everything he's got, and it actually works. The whole thing starts crumbling. It crashes to the floor, kicking up massive clouds of dust. Once the dust settles, everyone sees this absolutely horrifying sight. The statue's filled with disgusting worms crawling everywhere. But the real kicker is the cocoon hidden in the statue's base. Mina, yeah, that's the nun's name, is in complete shock seeing this inside their god's statue. Everyone's trying not to throw up while Shiro calmly walks up and breaks open the cocoon to show these Beelin believers the truth. But when he opens it, nothing. The real body was probably teleported somewhere else. Back to Carol and Nicole, this bastard Brighton had managed to overpower Carol and was about to end her life. But our girl says, "Don't get too cocky," and crushes one of her stink flasks with her left hand. This nasty cloud of stench covers Brighton. And this thing doesn't just smell like death. It's got a stunning effect too. Carol knocks the big guy down and immediately starts looking for Nicole. She spots her sitting there, completely still. Nicole's begging not to be caught when suddenly she starts glowing with blue flames. Carol freezes, trying to figure out what the hell's happening. Then pure horror flashes across Nicole's face as she screams at the top of her lungs and unleashes this insane energy wave that turns all the guards into literal ice sculptures. Brighton, frozen solid. Even Carol got caught in the blast. And Nicole's just sitting there devastated, screaming, "I don't want to kill anyone else." Well, girl, you might want to calm down because you aren't doing a great job on the whole, not wanting to kill someone front right now. Let's rewind the tape a bit because you need to understand how this whole situation went from zero to absolutely catastrophic. Back when Nicole first got her shiny new powers, she had no idea what kind of price tag came attached to being special. She passed the Genius Project test, and Fang picked her out of everyone. Her mom was over the moon about it, thinking, "Hell yeah, my daughter's going to be even stronger now and protect even more people." And honestly, for a while, it looked like mom was right. Nicole was out here fighting threats single-handedly and winning every single time. The whole town was proud as hell, thinking they had this brave, strong protector watching over them. Life was good, like genuinely good. But of course, this fake-ass happiness couldn't last forever. Nicole's powers started growing way too fast, and she was losing control. She had no clue what was happening to her body, but you know who did? No? Fang. This bastard knew everything but played it off like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a temporary side effect. Trust me, I'll take care of you and make you even better." And Nicole, being the trusting soul she was, actually believed him. But the real nightmare kicked off on that day. Nicole kept telling herself to calm down, to be patient, to trust Fang. Meanwhile, Fang was already planning her final mission. And what was that mission? Oh, nothing crazy, just death and sacrifice in the name of the god. All her hope turned to literal ashes in that moment. Nicole completely panicked and unleashed her frost powers again, barely managing to stop the cultists. She miraculously escaped that death trap, and that's when she ran into Macias. Fast forward to the present, and Messias spots this massive pillar of blue light shooting into the sky. She immediately knows what's up. Meanwhile, Fang's just casually sipping his wine, also noticing the flash of light, thinking, right on schedule, ancient gods waking up at the perfect moment. Shiro's already sprinting in that direction, praying the girls are okay. And wouldn't you know it, Ravice shows up at just the right time too, because why not? Nicole's struggling, trying to contain something inside herself. This evil god is waking up, whispering in her head to release all that anger festering in her body, saying this world isn't worth protecting anyway. But Nicole's fighting it, trying to keep the promise she made to her mother that she'd be good and never hurt anyone. Shiro finally reaches the scene, but the energy coming from the center of that glow instantly freezes his hands solid. Our boy barely holds back the frost assault and manages to break free from the ice. And our boy didn't have a clue as to what was happening, so Mesias explained to him that it's the spinal fluid of an ancient god, and this thing is completely absorbed into Nicole's body. They're trying to use her as a vessel to resurrect this thing. Then Shiro turns to Mesias and goes off, asking why the hell she wasn't there during the attack on Carol and Nicole. Like, she's the one who sent him to the church, but somehow forgot to mention her girls were getting jumped. Mesias just casually says she had other important matters to handle and didn't need to keep him updated on every little thing. And our boy is mad because once again, Mesias is withholding information. But she tells him he'll figure it out when the time comes and that it's enough that she saved his life. Our boy straight up threatens to massacre her if she keeps playing games with him. But for now, he needs answers. How do we stop what's happening right now? Mesias explains that the body's ready, but the energy isn't fully there, yet the magical core is still sealed. If they can stop the body and core from merging within 24 hours, they've got a shot. Great. Meanwhile, Nicole slowly gets to her feet, except it's not really her anymore. An ancient god speaks through her voice, saying how delighted he is about this long-awaited meeting. He's finally returned to this perfect land. Shiro walks towards this bastard and goes, "Well, it's bad because I'm sending you back to hell where you belong." The god's actually shocked. He's thinking, wait, this random dude just dodged my attack? At first, he thought Shiro was just some regular nobody, but clearly, he was wrong. Shiro doesn't bother with small talk, though. He channels his night power and sends a slashing energy wave straight at Antinos. But come on, You really think some starter move is going to work on an ancient god? Antinos blocks it with an ice wall without even trying, then looks over to roast Shiro, except our boy's already gone. He hears footsteps going in the complete opposite direction and realizes Shiro grabbed frozen Carol and just dipped. He runs a bit before yeeting the ice girl to Misius, who catches her. Shiro immediately starts panicking, asking if Carol's going to make it. Misius casually says she's not dead, so yeah, she'll be fine. Shiro's starting to question his choice of teammates, but at the very least, he asks her to please not let anyone die on his watch. She promises she's got his back, and with that, Misius flies off with Carol. Shiro turns back to face Antinos. The gods are genuinely surprised our boy's thinking about others at a time like this, but Shiro just looks at him dead-ass serious and says he doesn't seem that strong. He's killed fallen gods like him before. Oh, that pissed Antinos off. His eyes turn blood red as he asks if Shiro really thinks he's as weak as Karsus. Just then, Brighton sees what's happening and decides to join the party as well. He breaks out of his ice prison and attacks Shiro, pinning him to the ground with his giant spirit form. Shiro's shocked, like, bro, what are you doing? But Brighton's too busy simping for the god, begging Antinos to hurry to Fang, who's been waiting forever for his resurrection. Antinos is just eating this up, saying he loves watching humans fight each other no matter how many times he sees it. The drama never gets old. Brighton's absolutely giddy that Antinos is back and has this insane level of faith in him. The god starts heading toward Fang, which pisses Shiro off so much he breaks free from the ghostly beatdown. He cannot let Antinos reach Fang, but while he's distracted, Brighton rushes him again. Shiro notices the attack at the last second but can't dodge and gets absolutely slammed into the dirt. Brighton tells Antinos to go ahead, he'll hold this guy back. Antinos makes his move toward Fang. Shiro gets up thinking he wasn't planning to kill Brighton originally, but this bastard isn't giving him much choice anymore. Brighton says how he won't let Shiro do whatever he wants on Lavi Castle grounds. Meanwhile, another squad of guards shows up at the church. Lady Arena tells everyone to back off because she wants to understand what the actual hell is going on. Like, how did maggots appear inside the statue, and what are they even eating? One guard reports they found a creepy room in the basement, but nobody wants to check it out because, obviously. So Arena volunteers to investigate herself. They head down to the bottom, where 2 more guards are posted at the entrance. When she steps inside, Arena's absolutely horrified. There's this massive ominous tree and corpses everywhere. She sticks her hand into a pool of blood and pulls out a stuffed rabbit. She's thinking, was Shiro telling the truth? How much darkness is hidden in this city? Meanwhile, outside Fang's palace, a massive crowd has gathered to witness history. Antinos follows the red carpet toward the palace, reminiscing about those good old days when people worshipped him. Fang watches from his window as the god approaches, thinking his long-awaited deity has finally arrived. Guards ask Antinos to follow them to Fang's room. Antinos finds it weird that Fang didn't personally come down to greet him, but he'll let it slide this time since he did resurrect him. The guards escort him up the spiral staircase. Fang says he's pleased to finally meet Antinos. He's waited so long for this moment. The guards quickly say it's time to leave and give them privacy. Antinos looks at Fang, noting his purposeful, cunning nature and insane ambition, thinking these are perfect qualities for a god's servant. He likes what he sees. The god acknowledges Fang as his slave. Fang gives a slight bow, saying he's honored. But then Antinos asks why he hasn't bowed his knee yet. Even the most faithful servant must kneel before God. Fang apologizes but asks if there isn't something more important to discuss first. Antinos forgives his servant's ignorance this time because of his loyalty and courage. Now he needs information about the ice hammer, a weapon only a god can wield. But Fang apologizes again, saying that's not possible right now. Antinos is confused. What does that mean? Fang asks him if it makes sense to him that he spent decades studying the gods just to become some slave. Nah, that's not happening. Fang explains he found something interesting in his research books describing human neural structures and how to control consciousness. Great reads. Really taught him that controlling one mind means controlling all of them. Suddenly, the book drops to the floor. Fang's holding 2 wooden objects in his hands. He bangs them together, creating sound waves, and the girl's body goes completely rigid. Antinos can't understand what's happening. Somehow, the sound from these instruments is affecting the girl's body. Fang keeps hitting the wooden tools together, and it's bringing absolute agony to Antinos. Fang then gets cocky, saying how now the god has to bow to a human and acknowledge him as his master. Obviously, Antinos refuses. He won't bow, especially not to a human. So Fang smacks the tools even harder and orders him to bow. Pain shoots through the girl's body, but the god feels every bit of it personally. His legs are shaking. Fang won't stop until Antinos bows. The god can't take it anymore and falls to his knees. Fang's more satisfied with himself than ever. His plan worked perfectly. He, just like every villain, starts telling him about his master plan, saying how he purposely used the little girl's body as a vessel because if you destroy something beautiful, all beauty in the world collapses with it. He deliberately injected that liquid containing black magic into Nicole's body to control her. That fluid wasn't just Antinos' spinal fluid. As a result, Nicole's body became the god's personal prison, and now the only one who must kneel is the ancient god Antinos himself. Meanwhile, our boy was still fighting against that giant bastard. Shiro kicks him in the face, saying it's time to finish this. Brighton's beaten and powerless, but he thinks otherwise. Shiro's confused, asking how it even occurred to them to resurrect a god they'd have to serve, a god they didn't understand, a god who would eventually kill them. Brighton laughs at his words. They understood everything perfectly. The inner circle knew that all the talk about a savior, about a god, it was all just bullshit to fool the masses. Shiro can't believe what he's hearing. From the very beginning, the god was their target, serving a god. Who in their right mind would actually want to serve a god? Shiro realizes he urgently needs to get to the palace, so he just casually stabs both of these bastards' thighs and pins them to the ground quite literally, and walks away. Brighton is laughing maniacally, praising Fang, and begging to witness the power of the god they created. Our boy is heading toward the castle, thinking to himself, what the hell is actually going on here? Carol's getting treated inside Mizius's magic healing ball, and while she's chilling in there, Nicole's having the worst flashback ever. She's reliving that time her mansion went up in flames, and she's just screaming mother over and over. Up in the sky, Macias is watching this whole thing unfold, and even she is surprised to see what this little girl has been through. Meanwhile, our boy Shiro is absolutely done with everyone's BS. He's flying toward the city, muttering to himself and going off about how everyone schemes and plots, just like that guy thinking how if he meets him once again, he's going to kill that bastard. He makes it to the castle, and immediately the guards spot him. These guys already have their bows drawn because Fang had put a bounty on his head. They're screaming about killing him and getting that sweet, sweet reward money. But Shiro's not having it. While still flying through the air, he busts out his secret technique, Emperor's Power. And boy does he send these guards flying. They're getting launched backward through smoke. Shiro's shouting through all this chaos, "You bastard, you'll never achieve your goal." Now the scene shifts to some creepy underground tunnel in the Lavi City Library's basement. Fang is carrying Antino down these stairs, and they enter this chamber with an ancient matrix surrounded by massive pillars. Fang gets this evil-ass grin on his face and says something about how after 1,000 years, humanity finally figured out how to control the gods. Above these pillars are statues with divine heads, and little blue crystal orbs start flying out of their mouths. Antino's still passed out in Fang's arms, looking absolutely wrecked when Fang steps into the center of the matrix. He starts shouting, ordering the shards of the ice hammer to grant him supreme power. But just when Fang's about to complete his evil ritual, a voice calls out from outside the door. It's Arena, and she sounds peacehead. She's already got her sword drawn, and she is demanding answers from this bastard. But Fang's genuinely surprised and asks her what she is doing here. Arena doesn't waste time with pleasantries. She straight up calls him out. "Lord Fang, I don't understand why you're doing this. You literally told us to be friends with justice and trust the gods unconditionally. But now you're out here doing this?" Fang tries to cut her off with his villain monologue, saying, "It's all over. The gods are about to resurrect, so we need power to stand against them." Arena's not buying it, though. She asks him, how many innocent people have to die for this? But instead of answering, he snaps at her, telling her how this is war, and if they don't get this power, someone else will swallow them whole. This manipulative bastard then tries the whole manipulation route and tells her how he admires her righteousness and strong sense of justice, and that's why he won't kill her, telling her to just step aside and let him do his thing. But Arena isn't backing down. She grips her sword, and she goes, "Sorry, Lord Fang, but I absolutely must stop you. This is my justice." Then immediately casts her skill, Knight's Power, Divine Judgment. Fang literally just pushes her attack away with one hand, telling her how her efforts are futile, saying how she is indeed talented but still too young and too inexperienced. Arenas then goes, "Fine. I'll use my family's secret technique to stop you if I have to." Then she unleashes her ultimate move, Holy Sword Slash, and aimed it directly at this bastard's face. It hits something, and the dust is everywhere. Arena's thinking, did I actually get him? But nope, he had ordered Antinios in the last moment, and he had whipped out an ice shield before it could hit him. Then Fang grins and starts going on about how she can't stop him now that he has come so far, and then this bastard goes into complete manic mode, saying how he has sealed the power of the god in Nicole's body, and how he is the only one in this world who can control it. Then Fang gets all commanding and orders, "Antinos, kill for me." Antino swings his hand toward the sky, and before she can even process what's happening, she gets smacked aside. She hits the ground hard, struggling to sit up, probably seeing stars. Fang's standing there watching this and just loses it. He's laughing maniacally, shouting how no one in this world can stop him. After getting her ass handed to her, Arena is gasping for air. She is covered in dirt, cursing herself for being so powerless. Meanwhile, this bastard is still going on about how resistance is futile. Dude literally says he spent over a decade setting this trap up, so there's no way some rookie knight is going to waltz in and ruin his evil plan. Then he turned to Antinos and ordered her to kill her already. Arena's standing there, barely holding herself together, watching the attack come at her in slow motion, thinking this is how it ends, her sense of justice, her family honor, all of it about to get clapped. But she waited and waited, but nothing happened. Just then, our boy literally punches a hole through the cave wall, and our boy Shiro comes charging through the dust cloud, screaming, "Take a punch from me." He activated his Kainite's power. Arena's still frozen as she processes Shiro casually asking if he remembered things right before reminding her that he told her she'd come around someday, and she realizes he somehow predicted all this. But Shiro just shrugs it off, admitting he didn't actually know the specifics, he's just seen so many of these dirty tricks from a mile away and pieced together what's happening. Shiro starts walking toward Fang, saying it's time to punish the mastermind of all these crimes, but Fang laughs it off, asking how mortal laws could apply to someone about to become a god. He screams at Antinos again to kill Shiro, but here's the thing, Antinos just stands there completely motionless with these glowing eyes, not doing a damn thing. Fang's getting nervous now, asking why Antinos suddenly stopped obeying orders, and instead of answering, Antinos just gives this creepy-ass smile. While Fang's distracted, Shiro rushes in and hits him straight in the face, sending him flying. Then our boy asks this bastard with pure disgust, saying how it just feels wrong to hear that a bastard like him is going to become a god. But then Antinos starts laughing, going on about how he admires Shiro's courage and thanks him for helping deal with that fool, Fang, so he could regain control of the body. As a reward, he'll give Shiro a place in his new world. Seeing what's happening, Shiro realizes he can't let Nicole completely fuse with this demon. He immediately goes all out, pouring everything he's got into attacking Antinos directly. But she just laughs, saying how it's too late, all her power is about to be unleashed right here, right now. Shiro freezes. What? And immediately, this insane vortex of demonic energy erupts, absolutely devastating everything in its path. Outside the basement, Messius is watching this go down. Carol turns to her and asks if Shiro lost. Just then, from inside the vortex, this massive creature's foot emerges and slams down hard enough to make the entire ground shake. This blue bastard is now back in his peak. Meanwhile, Fang's lying in the rubble, cursing how he can't lose like this. After all these years of planning and suffering, he refuses to go down here. He desperately grabs a nearby scepter and starts screaming curses, ordering Antinos to follow his orders. But before he can finish his little tantrum, Antinos walks over and grabs Fang and lifts him up like a child. Fang's absolutely losing it now, screaming in terror and ordering Antinos to let him go, saying how he is his master and he should obey him. But Antinos just smiles, all calm, and shakes his head. "Dear Fang, didn't you want a divine relic before? Well, now you can't control me anymore." Fang keeps screaming, reminding Antinos that he's the one who resurrected him and demanding some gratitude. But the more Fang rants, the more entertained Antinos looks, and he goes, "You know what? You're right about one thing you did to resurrect me. So in return, I'll reward you with death." In the next second, he erased this bastard's existence and then just casually tossed him aside like yesterday's trash. As his head is falling to the ground, he's having these flashbacks of his preaching about how only the Lord can save humanity, and as he was kicking the bucket, he thinks about how he was right at that time, as really only the God can save them. Meanwhile, Arena is stuck under this massive rock, struggling to get herself free, and she still can't believe all of this is happening while pushing with whatever strength she's got left. Then she hears footsteps coming her way. It's Shiro, showing up to pull her out of this disaster. The second he appears, Arena's stunned for a moment because she now just realizes that dude's actually kinda handsome. After he pushes the huge rock off her like it's nothing, Shiro jokes about how she is a lucky bastard to not be dead yet. Arena gets up and nervously points at the blue bastard and asks if that thing is really a god and if it has really come back to life. Shiro doesn't answer right away. He just stands there looking thoughtful. Arena gets more anxious, thinking to herself, what's he going to bring us? Salvation or death? Meanwhile, that bastard was taking a casual stroll through that city and destroying everything, and everyone down below was trying to run away from him. And watching the world panic around him, Antinos was loving every second of it. He says how, after 5,000 years, humans are still pathetic little creatures, truly hopeless. He crouches down and puts his hand on the ground, letting his power spread throughout the entire city. People are absolutely losing it, running away terrified. One by one, everyone gets frozen in place by his power. He takes a look at the frozen humans and thinks how he'll be eating good tonight. Watching this nightmare unfold, Arena freezes up and yells, "No, we can't let this keep happening. We have to stop him." She moves to charge in, but Shiro grabs her arm, stopping her. Arena's confused and asks him what he is doing. Our boy tells her not to be an idiot and asks her what exactly she is planning on doing in that busted state of hers. But Arena fires back, asking, "Then what do you suggest? Are we just going to stand here and watch?" Suddenly, an idea hits Shiro. He tells her that he'll go deal with Antinos while she tracks down a woman named Mesias, adding that she is the only one who knows how to handle this mess. Arena is caught off guard for a second and asks him why he is going to such lengths to save this place even when she is not even from Lavi Castle. Our boy gives her his usual response. Why else? It'll be fun. Besides, killing God is just a fun little side quest for me. Seeing him about to rush off, Arena told him to stop, as this is foolish. But as she shouts, she winces and grabs her stomach. Her wound was acting up again. Just then, a flash of light appears before her eyes. Mesias shows up out of nowhere. Arena asks who she is. Mesias introduces herself plainly as Shiro's companion and says she came because she's got something important to tell her. Meanwhile, Antinos is having the time of his life. Suddenly, his eyes narrow like he's sensing something off. He pauses for a few seconds to get a better read on it, then smiles smugly. That's right. This is the joy of this world. After 5,000 years, I have finally returned. The second he finishes that sentence, our boy lands a punch on this bastard. Antinos does his usual asking, who dares to attack a god? Shiro laughs and shoots back, you idiot. It was me. So what? The moment Antinos sees him, he's grinding his teeth in rage and asks if our boy is still alive. Shiro's standing on top of the clock tower, nodding confidently as he says, like hell, I'll die before you. Hearing that cocky response, Antinos chuckles and says how he even spared him once. But if he wants to die that badly, he'll fulfill his wish then. He spits out this massive force blast towards Shiro, but our boy easily dodges it and decides to taunt this bastard. You moron, I'm right here. Antinos closes his eyes and brushes it off. Whatever. If you want to die that badly, I won't waste my time playing with you. At that moment, Shiro charges forward, thinking to himself, Mesias, you better have a solution. I don't want anyone else dying here. Meanwhile, Arena is still super suspicious of Mesias. She even draws her blade, demanding to know who she is and why she should trust her. Mesias stays calm as she walks closer, explaining how who she is doesn't really matter. What matters is who Arena is. She looks at the whole mess going down and points out the obvious. Shiro can't take down Antinos by himself. The dude needs Arena's help. Hearing this, Arena's completely caught off guard, asking what she could possibly do to help him. Mesias explains that even gods have weaknesses, and this one's far from perfect. If they can find that weakness, they've actually got a shot at beating this thing. She steps closer and asks Arena if she knows what Nicole likes. Cut back to the battle, and our boy Shiro and that blue demon are going at it brutally. Antinos is still roasting Shiro, calling him a fool, and the dude is absolutely pissed. Dozens of ice pillars shoot up rapidly, forcing Shiro to dodge. Shiro's muttering under his breath about how annoying this is getting. Antinos has this smug smile plastered on his face. Next, he summons dozens of ice blocks to attack. Shiro, realizing he's in serious trouble, calls on his knight's power to form a shield and braces himself to tank the hits. Our boy's thinking about how bad this situation is. Antinos isn't giving him any chance to actually attack, and he can't exactly win a battle by just playing defense forever. Antinos laughs and mocks him, asking if Shiro really thought he could get out of this alive. Looking at this bastard, our boy's thinking how he's actually right and this can't keep going on like this, so he's going to have to take a huge gamble. Nearby, some pastor dude is on his knees, shaking his head, thinking about how this can't be real. How could a god be like this? Fang had told him the god could save everyone, but this thing is the complete opposite. The second he finishes that thought, dozens of eggs come flying straight at his face. People grab sticks and start chasing him off, yelling about how they're the ones who caused all this and how they've been lying this whole time. The pastor's clutching his head, trying to defend himself, saying how he was deceived too. Right then, Arena shows up just in time. She rushes up to the pastor in a panic, grabs him by the collar, and demands he tell her where Nicole was being held. But this bastard starts crying, saying he can't do that. Fang trusted him with the secret, and he can't betray him. Hearing that nonsense, Arena straight up slaps him to knock some sense into his skull. But the pastor's still mumbling about how he needs to find Fang and explain everything. Arena, seeing he's still in complete denial, shouts at him that Fang is dead, killed by the very monster he created. She tells him Fang's been lying to everyone this whole time, and she needs information about this creature. Then she asks him again where Nicole's laboratory is. The dude's still trembling and crying, shaking his head, saying how it's impossible and Fang can't be dead. He was so smart, so kind. Seeing he's still being stubborn, Arena snaps. She goes off on him, saying she doesn't have time for this garbage. They've all been deceived, not just him, but her, and everyone in Lavi Castle. They need to fix these mistakes, as soon as possible. If he won't tell her, she'll cut him open until he does. After that threat, he finally caves. He hands Arena a key and explains how in the deepest part of cell number 101, there's a hidden door. If she opens it, she'll find exactly what she's looking for. She snatches the key and bolts, thinking about how Shiro needs to hold on just a little longer. On the other side, another wave of ice attacks comes crashing in. Shiro's got some serious plot armor working for him though, so he keeps dodging with ease. Antonos is surprised and asks if he's finally going to stop running, asking if he wants to meet death head-on instead. Shiro's still pushing himself to endure, thinking there has to be a chance somewhere in all this chaos. He throws himself forward and strikes at Antinos, his mind racing about how, if he can cut the weakest muscle, he can force this thing to its knees. So he goes around him, uses his ultimate sword skill, and slices this bastard's tendons. Antinos starts to lose balance, and our boy's wondering if his plan actually worked. From the dust, Antinos laughs, saying how our boy's attack wasn't bad at all, but it wasn't nearly enough to bridge the gap between their power levels. Then he walks out of the dust cloud looking way too confident. The wound on his leg starts healing, and in the next second, he's as good as new. Looking at that, Shiro's thinking how this guy's regeneration is absolutely insane. Just then, someone calls him by his old name, Klein, and a sword comes flying at him. He's also surprised, asking Mesias what this is all about. Mesias tells him it's a gift from Arena. Shiro's confused, asking what she means by that, and picks up the sword to examine it. Cut to a few moments before, when Arena had handed the sword to Mesias, explaining how she's heading to the laboratory where Nicole was being held, and she has no need for this sword for the moment. So she wanted Mesias to give it to Shiro. Mesias asked if she was serious this was a family heirloom, and Arena shouldn't hand it over to anyone under any condition. But Arena said the situation is dire, and she trusts Shiro with it. Then she glanced at Mesias, saying how at the moment it's useless to her anyway. Besides, she already lost the bet. Back in the present, Mesias is telling our boy how the sword works. He's supposed to put some of his blood on it, and the sword will respond to him. Shiro looks at the sword, thinking about using his blood, but just then Antinos starts walking toward him. The demon's going on about how no matter how many tricks Shiro pulls, he'll never be able to win against him. Then another one of his attacks comes flying. There's no time to waste, so Shiro makes a cut on himself with the sword. As soon as his blood touches it, the thing starts glowing all golden, and a crazy transformation happens. Time for some backstory, folks. Shiro comes from the legendary line of the demigods. The blood of the Flame Wrath Lion flows in him, a lineage that's 1,000 years old. And now that blood also flows within the sword. So obviously something big is about to go down. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, our boy's standing there with his new glowing sword, looking absolutely badass. The power radiating from this thing is insane. The sword releases this massive magical shockwave heading straight toward Antinos. The demon tries to stop it with both hands, but the slash is too powerful, sending him flying backward. Meanwhile, our boy's coughing up blood, stabbing the sword into the ground for support, and thinking about how the exhaustion from using this sword is really something else. Then he looks through the dust cloud and wonders once again if he actually got that bastard this time. But nope, Antinos is still alive. Both of them lock eyes once again, ready for round 2. Cut to the laboratory where Arena's heading toward room 101. The guards are trying to stop her, saying how dangerous it is to stay in this place and how the whole building could crumble any moment. But she ignores them all. The only thing on her mind is getting to that room. A few moments later, she's standing in front of this giant gate. She pauses for a second before opening it, then looks around, thinking, so this is Nicole's lab. The place is absolutely packed with potions and books everywhere. She starts flipping through the books, trying to find data on Nicole. All these books are filled with reports on Nicole's obedience tests, strength tests, and intelligence tests. Flipping through them, Arena's completely shocked. She can't believe those sick bastards gave a little girl this many drugs and put her through all these experiments. Then she stumbles onto a letter explaining how Nicole was chosen as a viable subject for this project because she had inherited Branquino blood. Arena's absolutely stunned, wondering if Nicole was actually from the Branquino family. After reading the letter, Arena can't believe it for a second. Nicole is actually from the Branquino family. Then she remembers her conversation with Fang, how he had told her the Branquino family was finished. She starts thinking back to the past, remembering when Fang had cornered her father, demanding he hand over his daughter with the promise that he'd spare the family and continue their alliance. Her father realized what Fang was really after the royal blood. He wanted to resurrect a legendary god with it. Fang smiled and said he was correct, then smugly reminded him how he had no choice but to join him or else. That's when Fang showed his true colors, telling her father how he really had no choice in the matter as his forces surrounded them. Her father had to either side with him or get crushed. But the old man didn't sell out his conscience completely and refused to hand over Arena, saying she was his only precious daughter and he'd never give her to anyone. This obviously pissed off that bastard Fang. But it turned out the old man was still a scumbag after all, because instead of handing over Arena, he promised Fang he'd give him his other daughter, saying she also carried the royal blood he was after. Fang smiled, saying how this bastard was quite the playboy back in the day. Then the old man told him to take the deal and shake hands, warning that if he continued to demand Arena, he'd have to face him directly, and since Fang didn't care who had to be sacrificed, he agreed. Back in the present, as Irina was reading that letter, it fell from her hands. She realized what had happened. Her father had sacrificed someone else to save her. She realized if it wasn't for Nicole, she would have gone through the same torture. Then another realization hit her. If what was written in this letter is correct, Nicole would be her half-sister. She shared the same blood and would carry the same Branchino name if it weren't for her scumbag father. Then another thought crossed her mind. She wondered if she was the only one kept in the dark about all this. She screamed about how all of this was unforgivable and how she'd destroy everyone who did this to Lavi Castle with her own hands. Then she started running to the exit. Meanwhile, that blue bastard was still being cocky, laughing at our boy. Just then, Messius came running toward him, asking if he could still continue fighting. Our boy turned to her and said he's almost out of energy and can't keep this battle going much longer. He admitted the sword she gave him was good and really packed a punch, but it consumed way too much energy. Messius told him it was because he's not from the Branchino family, and that's why the sword wasn't operating at 100% capacity. Just then, Antinos grabbed one of the ice crystals and hurled it toward our boy. It came crashing at tremendous speed, almost destroying everything in its path. The blue bastard was going on about how foolish it is to play hero no matter how strong he is. In the end, he's just human, and it's impossible for a human to surpass a god. Our boy didn't pay any attention to his rambling and asked Messius if there was any other option, if she could control fate and tell him what to do. Messius told him that fate doesn't provide correct answers, but it opens up possibilities. He asked, what kind of possibilities? Just then, he heard someone approaching with this massive magical energy, and there was this figure emerging. He realized it was Irina, looking at the blue bastard and saying how he's a monster, and for what he did to her city, he has to die. Antinos was taken by surprise, and before he could do anything, she landed a blow to his ugly face and landed next to our boy. Turning to Shiro, she told him how he was right. There's no peace, love, or justice in this world. Those who are strong make their own rules, and the weak have to follow them. She remembered the first time she met that bastard and how he had deceived her. She paused for a second and told our boy how, even though this world is unfair, she still likes it and wants to protect it. Then she said how she hates admitting this, but she'd like him to lend his strength. Extending her hand toward him, she said for this one time they could set aside their differences and work together to kill that bastard. Our boy smiled, thinking about how this little girl has really grown up. Meanwhile, Antinos was back on his feet, even madder than before. He was still ranting about how, regardless of how many of them there are, in the end they can't do anything against the power of a god. Irina turned to our boy and asked him for the sword. He handed it over, saying how it was way too slow for him anyway. Irina took the sword in hand, saying how it's a holy sword condensed with the bloodline of her clan, and only someone from her clan can wield it perfectly. Then she started calling for her ancestors, asking them for their powers, and then she did something absolutely wild. She stabbed herself in the heart. Our boy was completely shocked, yelling and asking what the hell she was doing. She ignored him and muttered something about the lions of the Branchino giving her their power. In the next second, she started glowing with this intense red light, basically unlocking Ultra Instinct mode. Meanwhile, Messius was explaining how this sword only reveals its true power when the true blood of the royal family is poured into it. Irina was all fired up now, her entire body flaring up in this red aura as she looked at the blue bastard. Then she announced how she's going to cut this giant thing into pieces and save Nicole from him, asking Shiro if he's going to join her. This damn idiot of ours is always ready for crazy stuff like this, so of course he said yes and asked what her plan was. Meanwhile, Antinos was still roasting them, calling them fools and asking if getting their asses kicked was fun or something. Fed up with our boy and his group, he punched the tower they were standing on. Irina jumped off, telling our boy to distract Antinos while she does her thing. Without wasting a single second, Shiro charged at Antinos with one of his ultimate skills, Demon Slash, and aimed for his neck. Just like before, it didn't do much damage, and Antinos didn't fail to remind him of that while being smug, of course, saying how it was all useless and how our boy was going to die. Then he sliced in front of him with his claws, sending a huge shockwave forward. Meanwhile, Irina was on the ground thinking about how she's going to save Nicole, yelling for Nicole to hold on for some time. Then she jumped onto one of the roofs, going around to find an opening. But Antinos noticed her and turned to take care of her first. Before he could do anything though, our boy distracted him with his second ultimate move, the Emperor Punch, hitting this bastard straight in the chest and causing him to lose his balance. Antinos charged again with his claws, but before he could hit Shiro, our boy whipped out his shield. Antinos sent him flying anyway, and he crashed into a wall, so now he was all mashed up on top of being exhausted. Just as Antinos was about to finish him off, Irina came charging from behind, muttering how she'll defeat him in the name of the Branchino family. She used her knight's power, and a magic circle appeared behind her. A bunch of fireballs hit that bastard right in the face, causing him to lose his balance. He was surprised to see how a mere human was packing so much power, but she wasn't done yet. She charged at full speed, clutching the sword in her hand. In the next second, Antinos was full of holes. Arena started screaming for Nicole, asking if she could hear her and begging her to hold on. Meanwhile, inside Antinos, Nicole was trapped in his heart, but she could hear someone calling out to her. As Arena was calling out to Nicole, she was shoving her sword deep into this bastard's chest. Finally, Antinos felt something. He let out this massive screech. Meanwhile, on the ground, our boy was watching all this go down, and he was in complete awe. Just then, Mazias came flying over, saying how this was all playing out perfectly. She explained how the legendary sword of the royal family is naturally drawn to those who carry its bloodline. Our boy was confused now and asked if Nicole was a member of the Branchino family. Then he got even more confused and started wondering what the relationship between Arena and Nicole actually was. Meanwhile, Arena kept calling out, saying she knows Nicole's in there and asking her to reply. Inside the heart, Nicole was now fully awake, and she could clearly hear someone calling out to her. She didn't know who it was, though, so she called out, asking who was there. By this time, Antinos had recovered, and he tried to swat Arena away like a fly, saying how she was annoying and nothing more than a little pest. But she dodged just in the nick of time and kept calling out to Nicole, telling her to wake up. As she was midair, Antinos tried to grab her but failed, so he slapped her instead and sent her flying straight into a wall. Seeing this, our boy gritted his teeth, thinking about how he knows this won't last much longer. Even without the holy sword, he had to try to end this fight with Antinos by himself. But before he could do anything, his legs gave out on him, so Messias started healing him. He's telling him how he overexerted himself and took serious damage. He can't continue as he is. Meanwhile, Arena refused to give up, still calling out to Nicole, telling her to hold on and that she was coming to save her. Seeing all this, Antinos was amused. He had that signature twisted smile of his and said how these foolish humans amuse him. Then, to break Arena's spirit completely, he told her how she was the reason Nicole was in this state. She was Nicole's last hope, but she destroyed that hope. Then he started punching the ground over and over where Arena was, using his abilities to whip up those ice tornadoes like before. This time, Arena couldn't dodge them, and the tornado hit her straight on. This bastard kept going, asking Arena if she knew why Nicole put herself into deep sleep and why she accepted his soul. It was because she was angry at this world just like him. This world had betrayed her just like it betrayed him. Then he put his hands on the ground. A magic circle appeared, and he called forth the ice hammer. Folks, this fight just turned 10 times harder. This blue bastard now has a weapon of his own. Even our boy was surprised, wondering what the hell that thing was. Antinos swung his hammer, saying how, with this strike, he'd destroy the whole world. As the hammer hit the ground, it caused this massive shockwave. Just like he said, the earth started getting torn apart. The force behind the shockwave knocked everyone off their feet and sent Arena flying. Seeing all this destruction, this bastard was enjoying it and said how this is how it should have been from the start, and how he's really liking this feeling of destroying the world. He's feeling invincible. Seeing her home getting destroyed right in front of her, Arena was thinking about how all that effort and everything she did, in the end, didn't matter. As she was about to give up, our boy swooped in and caught her in his arms, getting her away from the blast zone. After they reached a safe distance, he put her down. Though Arena was still not convinced, asking him how they can possibly stop Antinos now. He was plenty strong already, and now he has his ice hammer. They don't stand a chance. Our boy turned to her and told her to lend him her sword so he could wake Nicole up. Arena was surprised for a second and asked him if he really thinks he can do that. Our boy smiled and told her, of course he can, he's a hero, and that's what heroes do. He looked at the blue bastard and told Arena how he and Nicole are so similar. Both of them were betrayed by the world. Meanwhile, Messias was talking to our boy as she gathered all her power and poured all of her strength into him and told him not to mess this up because this is their last chance. Arena asked Shiro what his plan was and what he was going to do now. But our boy just smiled and said something cryptic, asking if she knew he actually died once and knows how truly cruel hell is. Arena looked at him, saying how, from the first moment they met, she knew who he was. Then she proceeded to call him out by his real name, Klein. Our boy was genuinely happy, turning to her and saying how he didn't think anyone would remember him after all these years. But now Arena had questions and started firing them at him one by one, asking what happened. Wasn't he executed by the queen? Klein smiled and told her how he came back from hell. Then he went on about how those who have seen hell understand the cruelty of the world. That's why he's going to kill that blue bastard. He activated his knight's power, and these fiery skulls appeared around him. He cast his spell, asking the souls of those with regrets from the underground to lend him their power. He started glowing all purple, and seeing this transformation, Arena was surprised because she knew what it was. Meanwhile, Messias looked at the transformation and muttered to herself how he's been slowly awakening ever since he was called back from hell. But much like every power-up, this one had its drawbacks too. In exchange for a power boost, his lifespan would shorten drastically. Messias asked him if he really intended to go this far. Meanwhile, Arena asked Klein why someone like him, the former Night King, ended up in this sorry state. Our boy just replied that this whole world is damned, that's why he'll rescue Nicole. But that wasn't the only reason he wanted to do it. He just wanted to slice Antinos into pieces. Antinos looked at our boy coming toward him and asked why he's still not giving up even after getting his ass handed to him. Why is he resisting over and over again? Even Klein had to admit this whole thing sounds messed up, betrayed and killed by the world, yet he's trying so hard to protect it. It does sound stupid. But then he remembered his conversation with Natsu back in that field, when she asked him if he had really made his decision and was willing to risk his life for the welfare of the people and the world. Then he muttered how she had poisoned him. As he got close, Antinos attacked Klein with his ice hammer. Our boy was busy with his revenge trip, saying how he won't die until he manages to kill the queen. Then he unleashed another one of his ultimate attacks and used it to block Antinos' strike. This surprised Antinos. He hadn't thought that was even possible. Klein kept charging at him, telling Antonios not to underestimate him. But this bastard was in no mood to listen and said how our boy just managed to do something slightly impressive, and now he's feeling cocky. This is funny because Antinos isn't even using his full strength yet. Our boy then started running at Antinos, heading straight for his head. Antinos continued rambling about how he doesn't know what our boy is planning to do, but it's useless. No matter what, he'll never be able to kill him. But then our boy called out to the spirits of the Branchino family members, asking them to lend him their strength. Just then, Aurina's body started glowing all red, and the power from her was flowing toward Klein. She was surprised too, wondering how Klein was calling upon her power. Meanwhile, our boy was getting stronger and stronger, rushing straight at Antinos. Antinos had enough of this cat and mouse game and wanted to end it all, muttering how this is the end. Meanwhile, Klein used his emperor/skill and sliced Antinos' hand clean off. But he didn't stop there. He pushed his sword straight inside Antinos' body, where Nicole was trapped. Inside, Nicole could clearly hear someone calling out to her continuously, saying how it must have been hard for her and telling her not to give up, that he can save her. The voice told her how those who had hurt her are now dead, and that he loves her, and that her sister loves her, convincing her not to give up. Hearing all that, Nicole was crying, saying how she can't get out because the world doesn't need her. As she was saying all of this, she was turning into ice. She continued, saying how she also doesn't want to hurt anyone if she stays locked away. No one will get hurt by her ice powers. By now, she was completely trapped in the ice, thinking that if she stayed inside, she wouldn't be able to hurt anyone and no one would hurt her. But Klein kept screaming, telling her not to give up and that he'll come for her and save her. Nicole looked up from where the voice was coming from, thinking about what our boy said about saving her. She wondered if someone would really come to save her. Antinos was getting annoyed with all this nonsense and told our boy not to get ahead of himself, as all he had managed to do was to put a scratch on him. Then he used his freeze ability to freeze his wound, knocking our boy off. But this only pissed Klein off even more. He clenched his sword, put all of his strength into it, and charged at him once again. Slicing through the ice, he called out for Nicole again, telling her to hold on because he'll save her. Seeing how our boy was going through hell just to save her made Nicole cry. Meanwhile, Antinos punched and sent our boy flying to the ground. Our boy got back up, thinking about how he was almost close to freeing Nicole. Antinos at this point was fed up with our boy, so he slammed the hammer straight to where he was, saying how our boy can try everything, but it won't change a thing. Our boy jumped and dodged his attack as Antinos continued, saying how no matter what Klein says, Nicole will never respond to him. The demon went on about how regardless of what he says, no words could bring her back. Then he continued with his monologue about how he's the only happiness for Nicole. While our boy continued to put up a fight, Erina was watching it all, thinking about how just a little more and victory will be theirs. Then she got up, saying how this is her home and she'll protect it with her life. She has nothing to be afraid of anymore. Klein charged at Antinos, exhausted and coughing blood, thinking about how this really was the end. But then he looked at the blue bastard, saying how he'll never understand. He continued, dropping his backstory about how he too was once betrayed by humans, but even after that, he found happiness in this world. Nicole could find happiness too if she wanted, and there are still people in this world who would love her. Inside the ice, Nicole was going through all of her good memories with Macias, Arina, Shiro, and Carol. She was thinking about the good times, thinking about her mom and that time when she told her that she had to find her own happiness in this world. Then she decided that she wouldn't give up, she wouldn't sit idly by and let Antinos live and consume everything. In the next moment, the ice started to break. Our boy didn't waste that chance and jumped through the sword, calling to Arina. She caught the sword midair and called for her ancestor's blessing and charged at Antinos straight on, piercing through his chest as the sword hit him. Even he realized that this was the end for him. He started thinking about how after so much effort, this is how he has to leave. The scene shifts, and the whole city is in a mess now. Mises is flying, seeing all the damage and destruction, and thinking how the humans and ancient gods' battle is truly finished now. The scene shifts to a few moments before when that bastard finally kicked the bucket as he died. Nicole fell out of him, thinking if this is really how she's going to die here. Arena came swooping in and caught Nicole midair and flashed her this bright smile, telling her that everything is going to be all right, she's going to be okay, and no one is going to hurt her ever again. Meanwhile, Mesias flew to our boy, and he was in a pathetic state. He was all beaten up, his left hand was gone. A portion of his torso was missing, and his left leg was completely gone too. He was thinking about how he died once and has to die again, how it can't be helped since it's in his DNA. But Mesias was telling him not to move and stay still while she heals him. Her healing spell was really something else. As she cast it, his limbs started to regrow and the bleeding stopped. He was all battered up but was still in a mood for jokes, telling her that it would be all right if she decided not to heal him since he'll just go to hell and he already knows how to come back. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ruins, Carol had recovered. She was watching the whole fight from the sidelines, seeing Klein take on that bastard. She was all impressed, thinking how she couldn't believe Klein took down a monster that size on his own. Just then, a few chains shot towards her, binding her hands and legs. She turned her head, asking who it was, and saw Ravice standing there. He grabbed her by the face, saying how it's been a long time. On the other side, Arena had saved Nicole and landed on the ground. Right after landing, Arena was searching the area, wondering if that god was really dead. She was still not convinced that someone like that could die so easily. And what do you know, she was right. The ice that was falling from the sky started gathering at one place and forming his body. It started taking Antinos' shape again, and he mockingly told our boy in the group how he's not going to lose this battle. He extended his hand, and his ice hammer started forming around it. He looked at Shiro, saying how he too had crawled out of hell for this chance, so he isn't going to die that easily. As he was about to attack, chains shot through his body, piercing through his chest and constraining him. Meanwhile, Carol was sitting beside Ravice as he was doing his thing. She was all surprised and was in awe seeing him dominate a god like that. Then Antinos turned his head and asked Ravice how he could be alive for so long. It's been 5,000 years, and no human should be alive that long. But Ravice just laughed, telling Antinos how it's all over for him and how gods like him should just die and make way for a new era. Then he pulled his chains back with enough force that it shattered Antinos' whole body. Antinos was a smug bastard, even at the end, because as he was disintegrating, he laughed and asked Ravice if he really believes he'll be able to achieve his dream if he thinks that he's foolish because he can't. Just killing him, he won't be able to achieve his dream. No matter what he does, he'll never be able to kill the real gods. As the dust settled, our boy was all mad, because Ravice had once again stolen the spotlight. Meanwhile, Arena was sensing this strange pressure. She turned and saw Ravice standing there. He told her there's no reason to be on guard, as he doesn't intend to fight her. On the contrary, he wants to show his respect to her and the one who had killed a god. All he's here to do is exchange one woman for another. Arena asked him straight if he's talking about Nicole. Carol turned to our boy, smiled, and asked for his forgiveness, saying how she was sorry that she got in his way again. Ravice turns to Arena with this smug-ass grin and asks if she's down for the trade. But Arena, she pulls Nicole closer, holding her tight and straight up tells him, hell no, that's not happening. She reminds him how she promised Nicole she'd never let anyone hurt her again, how this girl's been through enough already, and now it's her job to protect her no matter what. But Ravice lets out this condescending laugh and asks Arena if she really thinks this is a negotiation. He's basically like, do you honestly believe you have the strength to stop me if I just decided to take Nicole by force? I'm only offering this deal to spare your pride. But Arena's not backing down. She grabs her sword, her aura flaring up around her, and tells Ravice she's rejecting his deal even if it kills her. Meanwhile, on the other side, Klein's asking Mesias to help him stand up. Mesias reminds him he's literally wounded to hell, but Klein's insistent, saying he has to do this because if he shows Ravice even a hint of weakness now, that bastard will exploit it forever. So Mesias helps our stubborn hero get to his feet. Ravice sees the whole thing go down and asks Klein if he's seriously planning to stand against him with those injuries. And our boy, being our boy, tells him not to underestimate him, saying how he can take Ravice on even in this busted state. Then he straight up issues a challenge, declaring he's going to be Ravice's opponent. Ravice actually laughs at this, saying how interesting it all is. He admits he underestimated Klein, but then again, he expected nothing less from the former Night King, the child of the ancient prophecy. Then he casually lets go of Carol, and she drops straight to the ground. He turns back to Klein and tells him he'll retreat for now for his sake, but warns him to take care of Nicole with utmost care because he will be back to collect her. Before leaving, Ravice drops this ominous reminder, saying how Nicole's body contains the fragment of the ice hammer, and if she goes berserk, nobody will be able to stop her. But Klein shoots back, saying if Ravice really wants to do something for his sake, he can consider dying. That would be the best gift. Folks, our boy never misses a chance for a roast. Ravice just laughs and tells him that one day he'll understand his torment, the hell he went through, and the choices he had to make. Klein immediately replies that he'd rather not even think about it. Thank you very much. Ravice whips out a portal and says they'll meet again, hoping next time it'll be under more peaceful circumstances. And just like that, the bastard's gone. The second Ravice disappears, Klein drops to his knees in absolute agony, muttering how he really shouldn't have been that stubborn and pushed himself this hard. Man's paying the price for his heroics now. Arena turned to Messias quickly to ask if Ravice is really gone, and Carol came running toward Klein, freaking out about how scared she is. But when she actually gets a good look at how messed up Shiro is, she stops dead in her tracks. Our boy just gives her this reassuring smile and tells her not to worry, he's not dying that easily. At the same time, Nicole opens her eyes. Arena gently puts her down, and the first thing Nicole asks is if she really did it all. Did she really destroy the whole town and cause all this irreversible damage? You can hear the guilt and horror in her voice. Arena gives her a gentle head pat and tells her that's not true at all. She's the one who stopped everything. She's the savior of Lavi Castle. Nicole looks up at her all surprised, like she can't believe what she's hearing, asking if she's really the savior. Arena pulls her into this big, warm hug, thanking Nicole for her help, and just starts sobbing uncontrollably. Cut to 3 days later, and the city's already in full rebuilding mode. Carol walks through the door carrying this absolutely delicious-looking food, searching for her Oni-chan. Klein's last fight took a serious toll on him, and he still hasn't recovered, so Messias is healing him. The process looks painful as hell, but when Carol walks in, Klein's face lights up. He thanks her for bringing such amazing food, telling her she's been a huge help. Carol puts the food down and tells him there's no need to be so formal with her. She'll bring delicious food like this every day for him. Then she starts feeding him and even offers a bite to Messias, but Messias declines, saying she already ate. Carol shrugs, saying how it's really delicious food and she brought plenty, so she'll just eat Messias' share instead. She starts munching away, and Klein gets up, warning her to slow down, or she'll get a stomachache. Messias just smiles, saying how nice it is to see youth enjoying themselves. Now that the small talk's done, Klein asks Messias where Arena is. Carol chimes in and tells him she went to the graveyard, saying how she had to honor her ancestors or something. Meanwhile, at the Branquino family graveyard, Arena is standing at her father's grave. She starts talking, saying it's been a while, filling him in on everything that happened. She tells him how she managed to protect Lavi Castle and asks if she lived up to his expectations or not. Then she punches the ground, saying she can't understand why he made a deal with Fang. She starts crying, saying how all of this could have been prevented, all these sacrifices could have been avoided if he hadn't made that deal. She's confused as hell because he always said a person should be honorable and upright, so why would he make a deal with Fang? And how could he offer Nicole, his own daughter, as a sacrifice? Just then, an old man walks up from behind. Arena turns and addresses him as her father's butler. He sits down on the ground next to her and tells her he understands her father's intentions, explaining how there are many things in this world that one cannot control. Then he slides a book that I'm guessing is a diary toward her. Arena picks it up, asking what it is. The butler tells her it's something her father wrote before passing away, and he wanted Arena to read all of it. Arena's surprised and asks if he knew about Nicole too. The butler explains that he's just a butler, and all he does is follow orders. Arena thanks him for giving her the book, and tells him she'll read through it later. Before she leaves, the butler tells her to believe in her father, saying how her father loved her more than anyone in this world, and tells her not to hate him. Arena starts walking away and tells him she wants to believe that, but she'll make up her mind after reading everything in this book. As she's leaving, she's thinking to herself, why didn't her father tell her anything? Why did he keep everything hidden from her? Meanwhile, back where Klein is, Carol's still busy inhaling the food while Messias reads a book. Klein asks how much longer it'll take for him to heal. Without even looking up, Messias tells him at the rate he's healing, it'll take about 2 days for him to be back to normal. And folks, given this idiot's injuries, 2 days is nothing short of a miracle. But Klein's worried he'll die from boredom in those 2 days. As he says that, Carol pipes up, saying this place is actually fun. When she gets bored, she plays hide and seek with the neighborhood kids. Until now, no one's ever managed to find her. Klein's happy that at least she's enjoying herself. Then Klein turns to Messias again and jokingly calls her Witch of Faith, asking now that the Lavi Castle situation has been settled. What should they do next? Messias replies that now they'll go to Furai Castle. As she says that, Carol gets all gloomy. Klein notices immediately and asks if something's wrong. Carol scratches her head, tries to smile, and says how Furai Castle was her hometown. We cut to some hours later at the Duke's castle, and Arena's in her study, about to read the diary the butler gave her. She's curious to find out how many secrets her father kept from her until now. So we get this backstory about the time when the next lord of Lavi Castle was about to be decided. There were 3 contenders for the position, and Arena's dad was convinced he was the best choice among them. He's looking at the royal messenger all hopeful, probably already planning his acceptance speech in his head. But then the messenger calls out someone else's name instead. The guy who got chosen, Leone's obviously thrilled, saying how honored he is and how he'll fulfill the queen's expectations and give it his all. Meanwhile, Arena's dad is sitting there all jealous, thinking to himself, why wasn't it me? What's so good about this punk? In the background, Fang's watching him like a predator eyeing its prey. The messenger hands Leon the official message, saying how the royal castle is counting on him to take care of Lavi Castle. Leon gets all emotional with his speech about not disappointing the queen's expectations and all that noble nonsense. Meanwhile, Fang approaches Arena's dad, telling him not to worry. With this sketchy-ass look on his face, he assures him that what's rightfully his won't be taken away by anyone else, and he'll make sure of it. Cut to a few hours later, and Leighton is absolutely salty, complaining about why it wasn't him, why he wasn't chosen. He's going on about how he surpasses Leon in everything: bloodline, lineage, power, knowledge, everything. Fang pours him more drinks, telling him how he already knows this world is an unfair place. He's pumping up Leighton's ego, saying how it's really unfortunate that the queen doesn't have an eye for talent. Leighton saying how until yesterday, Leon was his subordinate, and just like that, he's going to become his superior. He asks what he's supposed to do now. Then Fang pulls out a dagger, stabs it on the table, and tells him what else can he do? He has to resist. He tells Leighton to show his true nature to everyone, and this bastard actually falls for it. Cut to some time later, and soldiers are celebrating how they finally took down this massive spider monster, praising Leon for their victory. Leon's all beaten up but happy that they brought down the monster. Just then, Leighton comes up to him, putting on his best subordinate act, asking if he's alright. Leon thanks him, and Leighton starts saying how he shouldn't act so reckless since the future of Lavi Castle rests on his shoulders. Leon smiles and tells him he's not going to die that easily, especially not when Leighton's alongside him. He's sure Leighton would never let him die. Leon gets up, looks at Leighton, and says how it's been a while since they last talked properly. He tells him he'd like to catch up later tonight, and this bastard Leighton is all too happy to oblige. He's been waiting for this exact opportunity. Later that night at Leonie's tent, Leighton finally gets the chance he's been waiting for and stabs Leonie straight in the heart. For a second, Leonie can't believe what just happened, but then Leighton leans in close and whispers in his ear that the game's over, and that Lavi Castle is going to be his from now on. Leon tells him this is treason and asks if he really thinks the queen is going to forgive him for this. So Leighton reveals his master plan: how when Leon dies, he's going to frame him as the traitor. Outside, the guards hear the commotion and wonder what's happening. Just then, Leighton walks out with Leon's head in his hands, saying how he killed the traitor and that he won't be charged with any crime if they just side with him. The guards are like, is this guy serious? Does he really want us to believe that Lord Leon committed treason? They're convinced that Leighton is the traitor. They're ready to avenge Leon, but then all of them get ambushed from behind. After the cleanup's done, Fang walks in, saying how now everything's been taken care of. Leon is dead, his guards are dead, and it's just a matter of time before Lavi Castle is Leighton's. Leighton's standing there with blood on his hands, and he tells Fang to inform the Natsu of his heroic deed, how he killed the traitor and protected Lavi Castle. Cut to a few days later, and all the guards are chanting his name, calling him Lord Leighton, and this bastard is eating it all up, loving every second. Back then, Leighton thought everything had gone perfectly and nothing could go wrong. But the real hunter was hiding in the shadows, because when he went to meet with Fang, that bastard betrayed him and cast some sort of mind control magic on him. With that spell, Fang made sure that from now on, Leighton would never be able to disobey any of his orders. He had complete control over his mind. Fang tells him there's no escape from it, and then obviously gets into his villain monologue, saying how he'd been poisoning Leighton's body with a special drug he made. He asks Leighton if he really thought all those drinks were just out of generosity. It was all part of his plan. From now on, Leighton's going to be his servant. Cut to a few days later, and the messenger comes once again with news about who's going to succeed as the Lord of Lavi Castle. And surprise, this time too, it's not Leighton. It's Fang who succeeds. Fang gets up and delivers this whole speech about how he's going to serve Lavi Castle till his dying breath. And on the sidelines, Leighton's watching it all unfold, and it feels like a nightmare to him. He got played, betrayed, and turned into a puppet all in one move. Arena continues, reading the diary. Leighton explained how from that day on, his soul died. He could do nothing but watch Fang sit on the throne he dreamed of, surrounded by his vessels. And this guy, after committing so many horrible crimes, was still delusional, thinking he was the one who should be sitting there. Fang noticed how Leighton wasn't looking very happy, so he called him out to the stage, saying they'd celebrate this moment together. He goes on about how, if it wasn't for Leighton, he would never have become the lord of the castle. As he says that, everyone's eyes turn to Leighton. Leighton puts on this forced smile, saying how it's nonsense and that he's happy and honored to serve as his vessel. Then he gets on stage, thinking to himself how this whole situation is absolutely humiliating. Inside, he's seething with rage and frustration, but he can't do anything about it. He gets on stage and announces how Fang is going to be the next lord of the castle and starts praising him, saying how he possesses both nobility and capability. He takes Fang's hands and asks everyone to celebrate together. And then this bastard goes straight to the bar and drinks himself stupid because the last time he did it, things worked out fine. So he is chugging down one drink after another, thinking about how this situation is unbearable, but he can't do anything as long as his mind is under Fang's control. So Leighton turns to liquor and women, and that's how the downfall of the Branquino family started, and all he could do is to watch it all happen. Well, he was the one causing it, so I don't know why he is complaining. But then something changed. One day, little Arena came walking up to him with a little wooden sword in her hand, saying how she's going to become the greatest knight ever, and she'll become the heroine of justice. As Leighton looked at her, something inside him shifted. He started crying, pulled his daughter into his arms, and said how he's sure she'll absolutely achieve her dream. Little Arena was so happy seeing her dad being supportive of her dream. From that day onward, Leighton changed his attitude and started currying favor with Fang. He did everything to make sure little Arena wouldn't catch Fang's eye and to lower his suspicions. He thought about his daughter and told himself how she's the last hope the Branquino family has, and that's why he's going to protect her with everything he can, regardless of what price he has to pay. Back to the present, Arena closes the diary and starts crying, realizing everything her father did was for her sake. She wanted to blame her father for everything, but now she knows whatever he did was to protect her. She realizes that even though he was a scumbag in many ways, she can't bring herself to hate him. Cut to the morning, Arena wakes up, and someone informs her that Shiro and his group have come. Arena's confused because she thought Klein was still injured, so she wonders why he's here. But regardless, she starts heading to the throne room. Outside the door walks Carol with her usual cheerful attitude, wishing Arena good morning. Arena puts on her smile and asks Klein what he's doing here, asking if his wounds have healed. Klein tells her how he's far from being at complete health, but that doesn't matter. They've come here to inform her that it's time for them to go. Arena tells him he can't just go like that. She's planned a big party and wanted to honor him for his achievements, but Klein says there's no need for that and tells her Natsu's men will be arriving soon. He adds that if they ask about him, she can just say she doesn't know anything. Arena can see she can't change his mind, so she tells him to at least stay for lunch. This is her final request. She says how the Branquino family always pays its debts. Carol's like, come on, big bro, at least we can stay for lunch. And Arena insists too, so Klein finally gives in, saying he'll accept her invitation as a gesture of respect toward the Holy Knight. Meanwhile, Mesias is sitting on top of some mountain doing her Witch of Faith thing when she sees Natsu's men approaching, and leading them is the same eye patch dude from the first chapter who betrayed Klein. He's thinking about how Klein crawled back from hell, and if that's the case, he's here to send him right back there. Back at the castle, the party's still going strong. Arena's making her rounds serving food and drinks when she stops by Klein, asking if our boy needs anything else. Klein waves her off, saying he's had enough for today. If he drinks any more, he won't be able to leave tomorrow. Arena insists that he drink some more, saying, the night is still young though. But Klein's trying to be responsible for once, insisting he's already hit his limit. That's when Carol starts roasting him, calling him weak with alcohol. Just then, one of Arena's knights bursts in looking stressed as hell, apologizing for interrupting but saying there's a problem. Arena's like, what's so important that you're crashing my party? The knight drops the bomb. The queen's men are here, and apparently some guy named Mansu has shown up to investigate their situation. Arena's smile drops instantly. What did you just say? Cut to outside the castle, where Mansu's sitting on his horse, looking all intimidating and official. Arena's butler comes out to greet them, trying to be all polite like, we're so glad you're here. But Mansu's not here for pleasantries. He gets off his horse, walks straight up to the butler, and asks him if he is one of Arena's subordinates. Before the butler can even respond, Mansu goes straight for the throat. Is Klein really here? The butler straight up told him that there's no one by that name here. He explains that the only person staying at the castle right now is some wandering hero named Shiro who saved the castle, and that's why everyone's grateful to him. But Mansu's not buying it for a second. He lets the butler go and orders his men to hurry up and search every corner of the castle, saying today's the day they catch the traitor Klein. Back inside, our boy gets word that Mansu's here, and he just smiles to himself thinking, so that one-eyed bastard really showed up? Huh. Arena walks over and asks what happened. How does a former knight captain end up being treated like a traitor? She wants to know if something went down between him and the queen. Klein tells her straight up that he can't answer that question right now. All she needs to know is that he was betrayed, and he'll tell her the full story after he kills the queen. Arena's eyes go wide. Wait, what happened between you two? Weren't you lovers once? Klein puts on his mask and goes silent for a second before saying, yeah, they were once. But after that incident, he doesn't have a single ounce of love left for her. With that, he starts heading out. Arena wishes him good luck and says she'll handle Mansu. Meanwhile, Nicole's chilling in her room, reading a book when Messias shows up. Nicole's face lights up immediately. She runs over all excited, saying how happy she is to see her and how grateful she is that Messias saved her life. Messias pats her head all gentle like, telling her she wasn't the only one who saved her. Everyone loves Nicole and wanted desperately to protect her. Then Mesias asked her if she wanted to come travel with them. Nicole's caught off guard, and that's when Mesias decides to flex a little. She starts floating in the air while Nicole holds on to her. Mesias explains that the journey ahead is going to be dangerous, but she can promise they'll definitely protect her. She gets more serious, saying the fragment of the ice hammer inside Nicole's body is very dangerous, and that's why she needs their protection. Nicole's torn. She says she wants to stay with her big sister Arena, but she also understands that in her current condition, she'll just cause more trouble. Seeing her hesitation, Mesias asks again, making it clear that Nicole's free to make her own choice. If she wants to come, she can, and if she wants to stay, that's fine too. Nicole thinks back to all the good memories she's had with the group and finally decides she's going on this journey with them. Mesias is genuinely happy with her answer, pats her head one more time, and they take off flying together. Back outside, Mansu's riding toward the castle when he sees all the destruction around town. He stops people on the street, asking where the lord of the castle is, what he's been doing, and how the hell he let the town get destroyed like this. By the time he reaches the castle, he's pissed. He kicks the door open, demanding to know where the lord is. Inside, Arena's just casually sipping on tea like nothing's wrong. She turns to him, all calm and collected, saying, "It's been a long time since we last met." She explains that she's been appointed as acting lord of Lavi Castle by recommendation of the people, so she's been busy with her duties and couldn't come greet him properly. But Mansu's not here for small talk. He draws his sword and puts it right in Arena's neck, demanding to know what happened to Fang and why she's the acting lord now. Arena just keeps sipping her tea and casually informs him how Fang betrayed the Lavi Castle and died. But Mansu didn't care about that and went straight to his real question and asked him, "Where's Klein?" Arena puts on her best innocent face and asks, "Klein? Who's Klein?" She says she doesn't know anyone by that name. But this bastard keeps pressing, saying he knows Klein was here and asking if she's trying to save him. He reminds her that protecting Klein would be treason, thinking that'll scare her into compliance. But nah. Arena just keeps casually sipping her tea like this dude isn't even worth acknowledging, then hits him with, "Only cowards would be scared by threats like that." That pisses Mansu off enough to actually attack her. But before he can even swing, Arena's already drawn her sword and has it pressed against his neck. The man didn't even see her move. She leans in and reminds him real slow, "You're in Lavi Castle. This is my home, my territory. You should know your place." Then she goes even harder, saying she's seen far worse than him, so much worse that even gods can't threaten her anymore. This bastard finally realizes he's completely outclassed. Arena continues, saying she didn't want to resort to this, but they left her no choice. She lowers her sword and gives him an option. She has no desire to fight him because her only concern is protecting Lavi Castle. So she won't stop him if he wants to go chase Klein. That's the only thing she's willing to offer. But of course, the second she pulls her sword back, this idiot gets cocky again. As he's leaving, he starts threatening her, saying she shouldn't feel so confident just because she became lord of the castle and that she'll regret this later. Arena just goes back to sipping her tea, not giving a single damn. She thinks to herself how this is as much as she can do for our boy and the group from here on out. He's got to handle things himself. Meanwhile, outside Lavi Castle, Klein and Carol are waiting for Mesias. Carol's getting bored as hell and asks when Mesias will be back since it's already nighttime. Klein tells her to just be patient, but by then Carol started inhaling food, saying if Mesias doesn't hurry up, she'll eat everything. A few moments later, Mesias finally walks in, apologizing for being late, and she's not alone. Nicole's with her, peeking out from behind Mesias all shy. Our boy is surprised as hell and immediately asks Mesias why she brought Nicole. Meanwhile, Carol's excited to see her little friend. Nicole introduces herself, saying if she's bothering anyone, she'll go back. But Carol's having none of that. She scoops Nicole up in her arms, lifts her into the air, calls her a cute doll, and says she's way too adorable to ever be a bother. On the other hand, Klein's still questioning Mesias, saying he can't believe she actually brought Nicole with them. Mesias explains that considering the fragment of the ice hammer inside Nicole, it's way safer to bring her along instead of leaving her behind at Lavi Castle. Plus, leaving her with Arena would just become a huge burden since Arena's got her own stuff to deal with right now. Klein's still skeptical about the whole thing, but he agrees, saying if Mesias decided to do it, she must have thought it through. He walks up to Nicole and asks if she's really sure about traveling with them. He warns her that the journey's going to be dangerous, but Nicole's already made up her mind. She tells him she's not afraid of anything, and as long as she's with the group, she can overcome anything. Hearing this, Carol loses it. She starts celebrating that she finally has a new friend and hugs Nicole so tight the poor girl can barely breathe. Cut to some other location where Ravice is looking out over a city, saying how beautiful it is and how it's ideal for the god's revival. Just then, this pink-haired ninja girl appears, asking if he called for her. Ravice says he's been raising her for the past 10 years, and she's exceptional. He's sure she'll shine brightly in the free castle. The way he says it, you can tell he's got big plans for her. Back at Lavi Castle, everyone's busy rebuilding the city, and Irina's right there helping out. She's ordered temporary houses to be constructed until they can build proper ones and organize a feast to lift the villagers' spirits. The people are cheering her on, praising her as a good ruler. You can tell they genuinely respect her. Just then, a knight walks up to her with news. Mansu and his squad have departed from Lavi Castle. Irina's genuinely surprised that bastard left so soon. The knight tells her Mansu said he's going after Klein. Irina just shrugs it off like, whatever. It's not like he'll ever be able to catch him anyway. Cut to a few days later, and the group's already made it to Furai Castle. Our boy's got his binoculars out, scoping out the castle, sitting on top of a hill like some final boss location. Just then, Misius walks up, saying the bow of the heavenly thunder is also in that castle, adding how only a legendary artifact like that could cause those massive lightning strikes they've been seeing. Klein turns to her, thinking out loud how a name like Bow of the Heavenly Thunder definitely sounds like some legendary tier magic artifact. Meanwhile, the walking, talking magic artifact of the group Nicole is busy practicing her ice powers. Carol walks up all excited, watching her like a proud big sister, saying how amazing Nicole is. Nicole gets all shy from the praise, saying it's not remotely that amazing. But Carol, being Carol, just scoops Nicole up in her arms, lifts her into the air, and starts gushing about how her little sister is the most amazing thing ever. Klein looks over at Nicole and comments on how she seems to be recovering well. Seeing her practice magic like that, Nicole's literally begging Carol to put her down, but Carol's not listening. The second she finally does, Nicole runs straight to Klein, complaining about how Carol keeps teasing her. Klein pats her head, telling her she's a good girl. Seeing this, Carol starts pouting, saying it's not fair that Nicole always runs to Shiro to complain about her. Then Klein turns to Carol and asks hadn't she told him she was from Furai Castle. He wants to know if she can tell him anything about the place. Carol scratches her head, trying to dodge the question, saying she doesn't have very good memories of staying there. And the way she said it, you can tell there's some heavy baggage attached to that place. Cut to the palace basement of Furai Castle, where this blonde dude is kneeling in front of a goddess statue, begging her to show him the path that Furai Castle should take. Just then, another man walks in and addresses the blonde guy as Ryu, asking what he's doing down here again. The man walks forward toward the platform, saying Ryu has this terrible habit of coming down here whenever he's in trouble. Ryu explains that coming down here helps him whenever he's in doubt. Being here makes him feel like the god Nefaria is always with him. He sits on the edge of the platform and asks his uncle if he knows what's been troubling him the most ever since he became Lord of Furai Castle. Then he gets all depressed, saying, "What's even the point of being a castle lord? He keeps killing more and more people, and with every passing day, more opposition keeps showing up. At this point, the citizens' lives have become completely chaotic, and it's all because of their family." His uncle tells him to stop thinking about stupid stuff like that. There's nothing else they can do given their position. Once they completely defeat the Ryukigumi and subjugate the Wild Thunder Dragon, this war will be over. He tells Ryu to trust him. The blonde dude knows this, but he's fed up with the constant war and just wants peace. Back to our heroes, Carol's finally filling Klein in on everything about Furai Castle. After hearing the whole story, he's able to grasp that there's an organization called Ryukigumi that's always been opposed to the Castle Lord's methods. Carol tells him it's not just one faction either, there are other families and factions that secretly oppose her Brownvi family. She gets all gloomy, saying how the constant conflict and fighting makes her sad, and she's frustrated about the fact that she can't do anything about it. Klein is caught off guard and asks what she means by her family. Carol realizes she unintentionally let that slip and tries to play it cool, saying it was just a slip of the tongue and she has nothing to do with that crappy family they just talked about. But Klein's not buying it. He's giving her that look that says, "I know you're lying." Just then, a wild Misius appears, and Nicole immediately hugs her tight, clinging to her like a koala who just found its favorite tree after being separated for hours. She tells Misius how much she missed her. Misius gives her a head pat, saying she missed her too. Klein asks where she's been, but instead of answering, Misius asks if he wants to go somewhere, adding that something fun is going to happen. Usually, our boy would be all in when someone says the word fun, but seeing how excited Carol got, he's already beginning to regret this. Meanwhile, in the outer lawless district of Furai Castle, this dude's on death's door, barely surviving. He's crawling on the ground, thinking to himself how he can't die here. He has important information to deliver about the Hayabusa launching a surprise attack on Furai Castle. But just then, some guy walks up on horseback and stabs him. This scumbag already has a report ready to cover it up. The proud third knight of the Ryukigumi died in the line of duty. He smiles, saying how that story will do just fine. But even after all that, the messenger dude still hasn't kicked the bucket yet. He tries to crawl away, but he's so beat up that he only makes it a few steps before collapsing. The other guy starts walking toward him, saying how the blondie's quite stubborn and won't die easily. The messenger smiles through the pain, tries to get up, and says even if they kill him here, the Ryukigumi would never lose to scum like the Hayabusa Church. So now this bastard decides to play with him, saying he's eager to see just how much grit the people of Ryukigumi really have. He steps on the messenger's face and not in the fun kind of way, then stabs his hand and asks if he's ready to talk now. But nah, this dude's built different. He says he'd rather die than tell a scumbag like him anything, and that he'll never betray Georgievia. Just then, the bastard soldier runs up, telling him the storm clouds are approaching and they need to kill the messenger. If he won't talk, they can't afford to stay here any longer. So this bastard decides to do exactly that and raises his sword to finish the job. But before he can swing, a boomerang comes flying out of nowhere and knocks the sword right out of his hand. Our boy walks in to tell you guys to like the video and help Mamoru make more juicy content. And don't forget to activate that cheeky little bell so you never miss an upload. And I'm out.